Dropping the double.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 310th episode of the Geek First Podcast. I'm the clown prince of podcast, Trasnell.
I am the deflated Dylan Muss.
I am the returning Tyler Briggs.
Hey.
I am the one that can defeat monsters if I believe I can, Jessica.
Oh, there
Hell
you go.
yeah,
So if
good
you
for
haven't
you.
guessed by the title or our nicknames, we are talking about It Chapter 2. As usual, we are going to do a non-spoilers version, and I'm going to say 3, 2, 1. I'm going to throw it to the returning Briggs because it's his first cast in 4 months. 4
Goodness.
months. I know you're not on
But
as
both
much,
of them,
Jessica,
this is their first experience with the chairs.
Yeah, great chairs.
They're
Highly
they're
approved.
comfortable.
Well, you know, It Chapter 3, Jessica, it's all on you.
I probably
So
give
Wow.
them 4.5 stars.
Wow.
I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1. Briggs gonna say Geek for Assemble because he's back, and then we will be talking spoilers. Before we get that, got some plugs to get out of the way. It's coming up, November 2nd now, officially. Our third, is it our third or fourth? It's our third.
It's our fourth 24-hour stream, but
Yeah.
our third
Charity
extra
stream.
life.
Yeah. So that is coming up November 2nd. The reason I'm putting that now a bit early is the next few weeks, this is why you want to go to our Facebook and like and follow. We're going to be starting to trickle out matches, trickle out announcements of who's going to be in tournaments, special attractions, things like that. Briggs, you got to defend that title against somebody at some point. So
Heck yeah.
it's going to be very interesting. We got a loaded stack thing. The other thing I want to say is the last 2 Gauntlet videos we recorded, they're going to be up to the public in around this week. You want to watch them because we're going to announce the tournament. If you don't know how this goes, the tournament is separate from the title matches. The title matches have to do with some spoilers. So what's going to happen is these Gauntlet matches will release, and you have until October 1st to watch those. October 1st, we're going to announce the title matches. But for September, we're announcing the tournament matches. So we got some big stuff planned.
Mhm.
Right, Dylan?
A lot in the works.
Got some
Almost too much.
Got some maybe new people joining. Got some maybe return people. Is it
Mhm.
Liam? Is it Kyle? Is it Ruben? Who knows? But
Yeah.
Could be anyone.
we
Who
got
knows?
could be anybody. Could be Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, or Bill Skarsgård. We're in talks. It's not
Nice.
going well, but
We're trying
in
to get him
talks.
in there, yeah.
So that's gonna be. You just want to go to Facebook, and we're gonna be trickling everything out there as Twitter, and just stay tuned. The cast will be announcing it soon in the future. Dylan Muss and I, we're gonna drop a little video/audio info video. Oh my goodness, just info
An
package
info
on
pack.
Patreon and some stuff going on there. And also you'll notice there's maybe some new ads popping up on the podcast. We're going to explain that and everything that's going on. So and Patreon, we're going to explain kind of new tiers and what's going on because you're going to want to be ready. 2020, we have a whole new load of content coming.
Mhm.
So my best suggestion is you get on board now. So when the
Yeah.
content comes, you're already
It's
there.
now a popular thing to do. We've had a bunch of people sign up. in the
Oscar,
last,
shout out to Oscar.
Yeah, a
So-
bunch of people in the last couple months, really. So
And
thank you. all
if
of
you're
you.
listening, all of you, I want your Patreon questions. I've asked a lot of you, other than Clay, we're going to do a review
Yes.
of Taylor Steele cases.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'll get back to you. Get back to us because in September, October, we're going to do newscasts and we'll need those questions. So you want to go there because also starting this weekend at the dollar level, every single podcast we put out now is going to be ad free. So the regular stream, you can listen to it and there's some ads. You just got to hit that skip button. I don't want to hear any complaints. All it takes is 2 seconds, boom, boom, you move over. But if you really want no ads, just the dollar level.
You put a really big thumb up for those ads, like the very animated way for people to skip
Yeah.
ads.
Well, that's how I do it. That's just never been a thing I never understood.
You're just on the bus, like so enthusiastically.
Every podcast let's do ads come up. I just look everybody and I hit it. So. Other than that, just if you like what we do here, give us a review on Apple Podcasts, not iTunes, Taylor. Apple Podcasts. We're trying to get to 200 as a written one. Please give us a nice one, a nice 5-star one. If you don't want to give us that, then don't worry about it. It's fine. But
We're
we'll
used to
take
it.
any criticism and please sub because we're gonna have lots of content coming out.
True.
We got a Spidey's PS4 2 sequel cast coming out. We got a Marvel Ultimate Alliance
bunch of
rankings
games, a
tier.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, and Joker. So you want to sub because we got lots of stuff coming out. So now,
Before you go,
Yeah, go.
just shout out because I always enjoy watching them, although I don't always vote because it takes a lot of effort for me to switch accounts.
Mhm.
But there is a new poll going on our Facebook right now. So if you want to be part of deciding who
Mhm.
goes into the Hall of Champions or Fame, whatever
Yeah.
Taylor calls it these days, go on our Facebook and vote daily. Changes every day at 6 p.m.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Pacific time.
This theme is like 2019 summer blockbuster movies. So you can go up there,
Ooh.
vote something a bit different. And probably people were never like The Rock from Fast and Furious. He's probably never going to make it into a GV poll.
True.
That's why we're doing
I hope
this.
so.
Same thing as Godzilla. I know we could do a Godzilla poll, but I think
Judge Jaguar?
Godzilla just wins that. Yeah, Judge Jaguar maybe. But yeah, good job because, I completely forgot about those polls because Taylor didn't tell us he was dropping it. He's like, I'm dropping it now. I go, okay.
Crazy guy, that Taylor.
You know what's crazy?
What's that?
Pennywise the Clown. So, like I said, we're going to start non-spoilers. And because he's returning and because he complimented my hair last night, Tyler Briggs, you're going to start us off on the non-spoilers review. You're back. What do you think about this movie? Much anticipated. The previous film was a Golden Geek nominated film for Best Film of the Year.
And
So
it showed up in a
yeah.
few categories.
Yeah, Best Actress, Scenes, Score. Yeah, so a lot of hype from our end. Did it live up to it?
No.
Oh!
No, I'm just gonna shoot it down right
Just
now.
casually
Very
drop it.
underwhelming film. As a person who's not a big fan of most horror movies, this was very, very disappointing, as it just felt like a regular horror movie. It felt like it lacked a lot of the inspiration that the first one had. That didn't feel like there was a lot at stake, and there just wasn't much development as far as the characters went, which are basically the three things that made the chapter 1 so good. The development of the children, the how much that was at stake with them, the amount of heart it had, and it felt different compared to what you would expect from just a generic horror film that just wanted to have some nice scares and some gory moments. And this, it kind of regressed and just kind of went back to feeling like a lot of just sort of set piece scares that you were kind of teased at with the trailers, and then it just sort of went into that, which really took away from the tension of it, the uneasiness that the first one brought to it, and a lot of the thrill and the suspense. It just felt very scripted, which, I mean, it's a movie, it's scripted.
Yeah.
But it felt very just like uninspired, I would say. So, unimpressed. I don't think the pacing was miserable for me. Like, by the time it got near the end, I was like, oh wow, has it already almost been 3 hours? So it wasn't a slog to get through, but it was very expected, and I didn't feel really uncomfortable at any point in the film, which I praise the first one a lot for making me very uncomfortable in the theater. And so, yeah, not impressed.
Recommend? Not recommend?
No, I would say honestly, just if you watched the first one and really liked it, just leave it at that.
Wow.
The story unfinished.
Yeah.
Leave it up to your head. To
Well,
finish.
technically, if you just turn the movie off before you get to the credits and it says "Ip Chapter 1," it can't. They just beat the
That is
clown.
the end,
right?
yeah.
That is
They
the
won.
end. Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
it. They don't need to come back in 27 years. They're fine.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
this may have come from because just before watching It Chapter 1, the movie, I watched the TV series, which is like the whole thing in like one.
It's like 3.5 hours.
It was like 3.5
Oh,
hours
yeah.
of the whole thing, all like the kids' stories and the adult stories. So I already knew what was happening, but I found the kids' stories was very much. It felt fresh when in It Chapter 1 compared to the original kids' TV series story, whereas this one felt very similar almost to the point where it's like I was expecting a lot more of what was going to happen. And so, yeah, it just kind of wasn't great.
I just want to throw it out there. I'll ask you you guys as well. Did you rewatch Chapter 1 recently before this, or when's the last time you guys watched Chapter 1?
I watched it like 3 days ago.
2 days. Yeah,
I did not
Wednesday-
rewatch it.
2 days ago. Yeah.
Well, you just got to one-up me, huh?
Yeah. I try to wait for the night before.
Yeah, I did 2 days ago as well. And
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of wondering
No.
if that affects how because maybe there was things that other people noticed because they had just rewatched it that maybe made it more enjoyable. But I just thought I'd throw it out there for the fans so they kind of know.
Yeah, potentially. I have not seen it since.
If
I saw it in
anything, I
theaters.
think rewatching the other one recently would be a problem because there's so many callbacks in this movie that are unnecessary if you remember the first one, which most
Yeah.
people should because it was very recent.
Well, honestly,
years
the
ago.
callbacks were not great for me either, and I
they were
haven't
really
rewatched it.
obvious to you, yeah. What did you think, Jessica?
I didn't hate it, but I don't think it was worth pre-buying my tickets a couple weeks ago and seeing it opening night and paying full price for it.
In 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I checked my watch a couple times.
Cool.
So, yeah, I was kind of going, it was too long for kind of what it was, but I also felt that there wasn't actually enough development for how long it was. So it was kind of that awkward, you felt that you needed more because there was so many characters, but it was still too long in general. I do think that a lot of the casting choices were pretty good. I think the person like Bill Hader I thought was really good, and the person that played Eddie was like spot on. Yeah. So there was some enjoyable moments like that. But I do remember when I watched the first one thing that I talked about was that I laughed at a lot of the scenes that you guys thought were creepy. This one was worse.
I would agree with you there, because
yeah.
I re-listened to our first review because we released our first ever TV Classic, and thanks for tuning into that. That did a lot of good numbers. I listened to that, and I wasn't on camp with you on that movie, but this movie I had that a lot of time where it felt parody close to at times and a little too slapsticky for my taste, which was an unfortunate event.
It's
not ideal.
Yeah.
It's almost like they took what people were saying about the first one about how it was like funny, creepy, and they're like, oh, let's amplify it.
100%.
And it just did not work out for them. So I found that to be, it really took me out of it even. Overall, I think it's kind of hard to say things that I didn't like without spoiling anything more in detail, so I'll kind of leave it at that. Watch it if you want, but I don't go in with high hopes.
I think that's the biggest thing, and I'll go because I'll leave you last, because that's the biggest thing, because Emily, she's thinking about seeing it. They do this great thing in Kelowna where they have like stroller screenings, and she's thinking about seeing it on Tuesday, and plus you get cheap Tuesday tickets, so it's like it's not that bad, but she asked me would she see it, and that's the toughest thing for me, because I know she was a big fan of the first one as well, and it's just, for me personally, I don't hate this movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think maybe it might end up there at the end of the year. I don't think it's like a Golden Geeks worst movie. I think it just kind of encapsulates everything I've felt for 2019. I have movies a few that are great, and then a few that are really bad, and then I just have like this huge cluster in the middle, and this unfortunately is a part of that. It Chapter 1, I still think, in my opinion, is at a top 10. I don't know where it is in the top 10, but a top 10 horror film of all time. I think they just did everything right. Great characters, great scares. You had that right amount of levity and comedy like we're talking about maybe this movie doesn't have. And it's just really disappointing, and it's really unfortunate. I'd say my pros, non-spoiler, are I think Bill Hader is phenomenal. I love him as Richie, and I think it's great that everyone's finally talking about him. Watch Barry, because he is one of the best actors going around right now. And I like everybody for the most part, the Adult Loser Club. I think Chastain does a good job. McAvoy does a good job. James Ransone, who plays Eddie, is perfect casting. I thought that when they announced that, because if you've seen Sinister, he plays a very similar character. I still think Bill Skarsgård is great as Pennywise. I think some of the stuff they have him do is not the best, but I still think he delivers everything. I don't look at him and be like, oh, his performance is something bad. I just go, maybe this is like a little too comedic for even Pennywise, but I guess. And the other thing I would say, I think it does a good job of like tackling childhood trauma, because they kind of touch upon that in the first one, but this is really overcoming that, and each character in the ways I like they refer back to, and it really feels like they're overcoming something. So I like that, where the first one was just like, we gotta fight this clown. So I think they handled that stuff well. The cons, I was worried about this from the beginning when they said, oh, they're bringing the kids back, and the kids are in this way too much. One, this is not a spoiler, the de-aging is awful. Just awful on these kids. There's a few times when they're in the shadows you can't tell, but there's just this one moment where they do the kid, I can't remember who plays like Eddie, and it's not a huge spoiler, he's just playing like a fucking ping pong thing, but his face is like, it's digitally on there, and it just looks like his body's there, and you can just see like a layer of his face, so that really took me out.
The voiceovers are terrible.
100%. So that really took me out of it. And then the other thing is, I just don't think they were needed. We already fell in love with these kids. We already got their story, and they added stuff that was unnecessary. This felt like what I hate about prequels, where it's like, oh, and this thing actually happened too. It's like, but did it make the story any better? And it did. And that's why I always thought, if you've read the book or seen the miniseries, it goes, all of them get a phone call, and then they flash back, and then they go on as adults. And that's why I thought it always was a good idea. Okay, first movie's about them as kids, and first movie's about them adults. Because I don't think in a movie you could do that. But then they just did what the book kind of does when they get a call, and then all characters flash back to things as kids. And I just felt it was really, really unnecessary. And I feel like most of the main characters, they just learn the same lesson, other than not the childhood trauma part, but the accepting they're going to do this. Just like kind of over and over. There's just many scenes of people accepting, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. The way my last thing I'll do before I throw it to Dylan is just kind of like, you take Logan, which is, maybe the greatest movie of all time, but you take Logan, where at one moment, Logan's having a tough time. Him and Xavier are having a shit life, but they find Laura and they go, oh, should we take her? And Logan's like, someone's going to come along. And Xavier's like, someone has come along. And at that moment, Logan goes, okay, I'm going to take this girl and we're going to get her to safety. But imagine 20 minutes later if Logan dropped her off, was like, okay, let's drive. And then he's like, nah, let's go pick her up. And then 20 minutes later again, he's like, let's drop her off. No, maybe we should help her. And that's what this movie does, where characters is constantly like, we're doing this. I'm going to stay. Nah, I'm going to leave. Nah, I'm going to... Should I help? Yeah, I'll help. I don't know. Should I help? Yeah. And this happens a lot. It's very,
for 3
very...
hours straight.
Yeah, very repetitive. Runtime was a big problem. And yeah, the scares just weren't as good. Not... There's some good visuals, but... and the tributes were way too much. I still like the film, but they just called back. There's just some scenes and even music cues are identical to the first one. And you can do that a little bit, but eventually it just becomes, you just feel like you're watching the same movie over, but just with adults. And yeah, very disappointing. I think this is the most disappointing film of the year. For me, it might be up in like the most disappointing film of the decade, to be honest. It's up there. It's close. So
I do just want to add on with you talking about how there was too much of the kids. I feel like had they balanced out taking out some of that scenes, as much as I love the kids, that would have left more time for the development of the adults, 100%. Which it really feels was kind of rushed and unfulfilled. So I think definitely the proportions of, in the Cerebro assassin version / real world was off.
Yeah. I just think that first movie came out, everyone loves the kids, so let's put them in there again. And it's like, I guess, but it also kind of backfires. But hey, maybe that was the director's choice, and if it was, not a great choice. So
it was a choice nonetheless.
Yeah. Dylan, what do you think about this movie?
I am definitely more negative than all of you on this one. To me, the plot of this movie is paper thin. Like, character motivations are just not there whatsoever. I have a lot of like specific reasons that I'll explain in non-spoilers. The only one in spoilers. The only one I'll say now is that there's this thing to the story where if you leave Derry, you like forget a lot what happened. Mm-hmm. That plot point is incredibly inconsistent in this movie. They just like that's not consistent whatsoever. They break the rules on that constantly, just whenever it like needs to be. That's kind of how I would describe like most of the plot. It feels very contrived. Like there's maybe a reason for like why something is occurring, but it's never really explained. You kind of just have to accept it and move on. And to me, like that was happening so much in the first half an hour. It just kept happening the whole way through that eventually I just stopped caring. Like I just couldn't take this story seriously anymore. And then I just started like nitpicking it. And I feel like there's just so many little details that I'm going to bring up that are probably not really that necessary to bring up, but everything started bothering me with this movie. And yeah, just an incredibly sharp drop off from how much I loved the first movie. There's, as these guys mentioned, like so many useless callbacks that are just entirely unnecessary. And like Travis said, they undermine like stuff in the first movie. Like there's flashbacks to something. It's like, why was this not mentioned in the first movie? Like this is really important. But clearly it's not because it wasn't in the first movie. So it just felt like it was really just backwards for no reason.
It's weird choice. This is a minor spoiler. But in the first movie, Bev didn't smoke at all. And they just add this little thing like every time she's on screen. In the first movie?
She had cigarettes, but I don't know if you see.
I think she did.
I don't know how much you don't really see her smoke.
But this felt like the actress is old enough to smoke, so let's have her smoke in every fucking scene, and like it just felt.
Well, no, she in the bathroom in the beginning. She's smoking when they dump the.
Okay, maybe
and
you're
then
right.
She steals a pack of cigarettes from the store, and then she's smoking while they're looking at the cuts on Ben's stomach. She does.
Hashtag Travis is wrong then.
Whoa, you don't hear that one very often.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to shout out too is that they at one point in this movie they have Jessica Chastain as an adult say beep beep Richie, and it was weird because they're doing stuff that like only people from the book and the miniseries would understand, because Pennywise says beep beep in the first one and they say that to like shut Richie up, but that wasn't referred to at all in the first movie, so it felt at times that was almost like a different director doing this, and it's not. It's almost the same team. They lost a writer.
There's a lot of that where like lines of dialogue or scenes from the first one are brought up, which just goes against this whole like they don't remember or they shouldn't, like even just little details. It's like, how do you remember that fucking line from 27 years ago? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't think they did it well, but they do in the book and the miniseries. They do like start to remember throughout. Like they see stuff like, oh, this happened. But I agree, there's some stuff so specifically.
I get that. It just for the sake of this movie, it didn't feel like they had like they went in with like a pre-thought of that. They just kind of scene for scene. Yeah, they can bring this scene up, they can bring that up, but the pacing is a problem. Like there's a reason horror movies aren't 3 hours long. Like eventually you just kind of get burnt out, and then nothing was really scary at the end. I guess it it felt more like a comedic thriller or something. Honestly, by like the second half,
Comedic thriller.
I was
Huge
just
genre.
I was just so, like the horror aspect was not there at all, and I don't know. I guess that's that's just why you don't do like horror movies that long. It's just just doesn't make sense. I mean, the original It is like that, but it's kind of different because it was originally like two separate things that were eventually, like, as I watched it for the first time, was kind of just this bundle pack. But I also feel like they took all, the first movie made a lot of money, a big successful horror movie. I feel like they took all of that profit and just dumped it into these gigantic CGI set pieces. And I just feel like if you look at the first movie and why people loved it, I don't think that's why people loved it. It was nice.
No.
There were some great scenes, but I think they were used sparingly and effectively. But they just, it seems like that was the thing they wanted to focus on the most from the first movie. And to me, that's a massive disappointment because I love the camaraderie of the kids. Like, it really gets well developed, except for there's like a couple, one or two of the kids I feel like don't really get the time to shine in the first movie. Mike and even Stan to some degree. Stan, I think more so is because he's the one actor that to me wasn't so great, whereas the rest of the kid actors are really good. This movie doesn't fix that. Mike is still just doesn't really have much of a character. He's necessary for the plot. Yeah, he moves the plot along, but he doesn't have any like character traits of his own, which is unfortunate. What else is there to say?
Any positives?
I liked Richie for the most part, although I felt like in the last, maybe like just the last half of the movie or last hour, I'll say, a lot of like comedy beats don't really make sense. Like he's making light of a situation that is like should not be the case.
In the
Other
finale.
characters do that too. Eddie does that a lot. He's pretty much, you guys liked Eddie. I really didn't. To me, he was like downgraded to just a comedic relief in this movie, and I felt like the actor was way too animated and over the top. He didn't feel very realistic to me.
I liked the first half. I think I still like his portrayal of Eddie, but I think the stuff they had of him doing the later half, I don't like a lot of his comedy. But I think he nailed the if I were to watch like a kid and him side by side, I go, I feel this is that version growing up. But there's some humor he did that I really, really disliked. Especially there's one scene in here that I can't believe is in this movie, and it's just I don't understand why he put it in.
Yeah, I'm excited to break down all the stupidities of this movie because there is a lot of them. Overall, it's just disappointing. Don't go to the theaters to see this. If you like the first one, watch it on Netflix when it drops. But please don't waste your time.
It's on Netflix. The first
one?
Oh, I thought you meant the first one.
That's quick.
And I was like,
straight to DVD.
Oh, they're giving up on
that's how good it was.
Yeah, it's not worth your 3 hours. It's not worth your money. Just watch it on Netflix if you like the first one. But it's just not worth it in the theater.
I think that's the tough part. To me, if I were still this disappointed but it was 2 hours, I'd say, if you love the first one, still go see this. But with it being 3 hours, that's a commitment,
that's
and something like when we had another 3 hour movie come out this year called Endgame, I could say,
I forgot about that movie.
You get a big, satisfying conclusion. You get some moments that I can't miss. This, and especially this is a thing that a lot of people have read the book or read the series, so you kind of know what happens. But I'd say go if you just really love it. And I still think there's some good performances here. I think there's some good moments, but I don't think together. I was going to ask you this, Dylan, because you had mentioned him. Pennywise was a 2017 Golden Geek villain nomination. Where is he? Obviously, it's a weaker fill this year, but where are you feeling this? Because
that's the thing. I feel like there's a chance he makes it in there, but only because this has been such a weak year. Like, I don't think it's because he is great. I think it's just by comparison, you look at the other stuff that we've had this year, and he might just make it in by default. But I don't know. We still got some more movies this year, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Non-spoilers, I guess.
Anything else before we get into the town of Derry and spoil their ventures?
No.
Nope.
All right, we're putting our beaver hats on. Last chance. 3, 2, 1.
Geekverse. Assemble.
Hey.
So we're going to talk about it, Chapter 2 and spoilers. Where do we want to... You know what I want to start with just very quickly? Talking about the humor, and because the non-spoilers, people are probably wondering, what happened? So the Henry Bowers...
Oh, God.
So
I was going to say don't get me started, but I think every single thing mentioned tonight is going to trigger me.
So I don't mind the performance. I like it. It's sticking close to the OG material. He breaks out. He's a loony bin. I had fun with that. I just didn't understand the scene with Eddie, why that was even necessary. And I think that happens multiple times I can count on both hands in this movie of why this happened, because the Eddie thing, it didn't affect anything. And as somebody that wants to make films one day, it just pisses me off that they made the actor have to wear a bandage for like the next 2 hours or
Yeah,
like
that
next
was the
30 days of
consequence.
filming of like, I gotta have this on my face. Are you kidding me? And I have read the book, but I've read it in like middle school, so I don't even remember. So maybe there's a chance that Henry Bowers did attack Eddie, but if he did and I'm not remembering it, that's why you adapt, and that didn't need to be, because it changed nothing in the plot. It didn't do anything. He stabbed him, and that scene was awful, and he stabbed him, and he's laughing with Henry, and I was cringing. I was like, oh no, we're getting into like, if this was a Deadpool movie, I'd understand.
Yeah,
but
and then he like makes fun of his mullet after he just got stabbed in the face.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of that, though, is because later when Stanley's head is running around, he's all scared and he can't do anything, and then they use it as, oh, no, well, no, you're brave, you're strong, you were able to stab Henry when he attacked you. You got stabbed in the face and you were able to pull out the knife and stab him.
Yeah.
So they use it as like his pep talk to say, no, you're not scared, you know, you're braver than you think. I think that was the point of that scene.
I just wish maybe they morphed it with the Mike scene then. Did it at one time, because he does attack Mike in the book, so I wish that he had taken out Eddie, and maybe instead of Richie killing Henry Bowers, they could have made it Eddie, and that would have been, make him come over here. I think you just should have morphed it, and I didn't like him laughing while there's a knife in his face. I don't know. It was very off-putting, and not into like very scary. That bugged me, and that's where the movie really took a turn for me, because I enjoyed the first 45 minutes, like them at the restaurant, everything like that. I was liking it, and then
I mean, what you just mentioned, like that, to me, just leads into like, what is the point of Henry Bowers at all? Like what does he do? Like, what is his impact on the story? He stabs Eddie, but that doesn't do anything. So he really has no impact on the story whatsoever. And I was just kind of baffled by like what he was doing. Like he tracked them to like Mike's place or something, and then he also tracked them to the library. Like, how did he do that? Like, he's clearly not very smart, and he's crazy for obvious reasons. He'd been locked up for 27 years, but just didn't really make sense that he was like, how he was finding them and sneaking through these like rooftops and stuff. And maybe he's like, I also couldn't tell
from Pennywise.
Well, that's what
that's
what was unclear to
Driver.
me, is how much did Pennywise do for him? Like, what did he do for him? And it's just not really answered. And then he just kind of dies, and they just forget about it. And it just felt very pointless. But it's something that you kind of have to have that character in this movie, because he was a big character in the first one. I think he was an effective character in the first one, but they just felt like they had no ideas. Like Briggs said, uninspired. Like, they just had nothing to do for Henry. So they just gave him a couple scenes where he can cause some tension, I guess, but it was pretty ineffective.
It felt like how they brought him in was really bad too. Like, all of a sudden there's like this big wave and all these bodies wash out, and it's like, oh, he's a kid. And I thought we were in present time, but we're actually in the past.
Yeah,
and
there wasn't like a clear transition into the past.
Yeah, I thought he got trapped down there, and then he was still going to be a kid, and everyone else was an adult. So that I thought was really poorly done too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's true. Now that I think about it, there wasn't really a point to him at all.
I think that's the problem. Like, I think we'll talk about a lot with this, and when we talk about books and comic books, that this is a full-on book adaptation, and that is from the books, but that's where, again, it comes down like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. What do you keep? What do you take out? Because someone that likes the book, I like the Henry Bowers idea that he comes back and he's after these kids, but at the end of the day, I think, again, if the movie just wasn't so long, I would be more fine with them having it in there, but when it adds about 15-20 minutes of screen time, if I'm thinking about stuff that could go to make it not 3 hours,
you got to look at it from like the people behind the scenes who were thinking about this, and obviously when they're making the first one, they knew that it was obviously going to be a two-parter, and you have to wonder if like what they were doing with Henry in the first one was like, what is he going to do in the second one? I think he's going to stab Eddie, and it's going to have no impact on the story. Is that what they were thinking? Well, no, it feels like it was like a Band-Aid for like, oh shit, we need something to do with this character. We're 40 days into filming, and we forgot about him. Let's cast this guy off the street quick. Let's fucking put in this useless couple scenes here.
Well, it's strange because and I believe the same way in the book, at least in the miniseries, he stabs Mike and puts Mike in the hospital. And I think the reason, and they didn't do that in this movie just because I think they didn't want Mike to get as bad rep as he does in the past, because everyone's always like, Mike's a shit character, he didn't get used that much. But I think in the books, they do it as like a way he gets stabbed, so he's the one that has the most knowledge, but he's not with them when they go to take on Pennywise, so they're at a disadvantage. And that would make sense in this wise of like, take out the guy with all the knowledge, but Mike doesn't get taken out. Even though Mike, does he really have much knowledge? I don't know. He kind of is a little goof at the end, but so I think that's what they didn't do that in the film because Mike didn't get stabbed. But yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to ask, but yeah.
Yeah, they just had no ideas there. It's too bad.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like a theme to the film.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of point to anything in
that-
terms of plot development.
That's what I'm talking about. Like it's very
Like,
one-dimensional.
honestly, they could have gone from the restaurant to the townhouse straight to the well house, and everything in the middle could have just been cut. Like 2 hours of the film could have been cut, and I feel like the characters would have been just as developed.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the token thing it could work, but without all the flashbacks that kind of lead up to it.
It could work, but it doesn't need to.
Like Stanley's shower cap thing, all of that. This
Yeah.
random clubhouse that no one knew about, and
let's talk about that next. So, like I guess so. The reason we know of this like ritual to take out Pennywise, and
Ritual Chud.
you need tokens. What?
Ritual of Chud.
Ritual
Chewed.
Chud. Sure.
There's a turtle involved.
So the reason we
He
know
didn't
of
appear in
this
this
is because Mike went and did some fucking ayahuasca with some dairy,
wild scenes.
dairy natives, I guess. But we don't. It's never clear like what Mike knows and what he doesn't know, because he doesn't really seem to have like much of a plan. His plan is like, I'm gonna call them here, hope they fucking come, and then I guess we'll go hunt down, we'll go get our tokens, and we'll go get Pennywise. Like that's as deep as his plan goes, at least from our perspective.
I think that is a plan, though. His objective is just to stop the clown, right? So to stop the clown, he needs his friends, and his friends need the tokens, and then they do the ritual. He lies about the thing because he says, "Oh, this time it'll work," because we actually believe. So he does have a plan.
I'm curious of this. So would the ritual not have worked if Stanley's token wasn't in there? What if Eddie had died? Would it have not worked anymore because that was from the group?
Well, no matter what, the ritual didn't work, so I can't answer that, right? Because I guess it didn't, because at the end it didn't work because they show the natives.
Well, the
getting
ritual,
killed off.
I guess the purpose in the movie is that the ritual like summons him in that form.
Yeah.
I guess you can take him out. So it still worked. It wasn't a one-step process.
I would believe the rules they're setting up that, if they didn't have a token stands thing didn't work. That's what I
But why
believe.
did Stan's token need to be there anyway? Because Stan wasn't there.
I agree.
That's what I'm asking. And what if Eddie had died? Would the ritual have still worked if the rest of them went there with their tokens?
I guess as long as they have an Eddie token, right? As long as you have a token, apparently they've set up this ritual work. Because Stan wasn't there and they had his shower cap. So I guess even if Mike just showed up there, I guess you're right.
So how does this token thing work? What if Richie's token isn't some useless coin that has no relevance?
Yeah, I know
that right. Like that's to me. Beverly's makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, it's like set up pretty well. Bill's also makes sense.
Ben's too.
What is
his
Ben's
yearbook that Bev signed? No one else signed his yearbook but Bev.
Yep.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That one,
I can buy it.
Yeah.
It's the girl he loves, and no one
it
else
goes
signed
hand
his
in hand
yearbook.
with her
the
keeping his.
reason I think it's stupid is because of the scene where he goes to get it. Because like.
Yeah,
I don't know,
need to go get it.
Because it's really stupid. Mike's like, hey, you guys got to go get your rituals. You have till the end of the day. Like, there's no guidance there. The fact that like any of them know where to go is really just wild to me. It doesn't really make any sense. I guess Beverly sort of makes sense.
But Ben didn't actually have to go anywhere to get his because he said he's
just
carried
in
it in
his
his wallet for
wallet.
27 years.
Yeah,
So he just
he
took a
didn't
stroll
even.
down
Did he
memory
even
lane.
have
Yeah.
an interaction with?
Yeah,
He didn't have an interaction with Pennywise as an adult either.
Yeah,
he just had.
he did. He was in the school. He was in summer school in the hall. He like hid in the locker, and then
No, no,
Pennywise.
No, but that was
As
the
a
child
adult
one.
Ben.
Oh.
But adult
Yeah.
Ben didn't have a
I
run-in,
don't think
whereas
he
like
did,
Jessica
no.
he
Chastain
just
had a
went to the
run-in.
school and then
Bill
like,
had a run-in.
had
all,
the memory.
all of them had like an interaction with him as an adult, except for Ben, I think.
I think so. That's the problem. It's so long, but I'm trying to think because he goes to school. Yeah, they have the flashback of the
I hated
Bev
that
stuff. I hate
scene.
that scene too because I thought,
CGI
and
was
that's
bad.
Oh well, yeah, fire Bev, and that's a callback to the book. I just thought it was gonna be something more interesting than her just getting set on fire and running after Ben. I thought they were gonna kiss and he'd be like, "Oh, it's Bev," and then he'd turn the clown. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
So-
happens, and then he's adult, and I can't remember, but I don't know. Same thing. I don't know why he went there. It's in his wallet, so just like go grab some lunch and meet up with them later. Not
Well,
go
I
spook
think that just goes to
yourself out.
show how pointless all of them are. Like even like Mike's is the rock that they threw at fucking
Yeah.
Henry.
How'd you find that shit?
Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. Richie's is stupid. Stanley's, Stanley is a just forgotten character
They just
altogether.
added that in, so it's like, okay, a
And
shower
then
cap.
I also
guess.
think Eddie's is incredibly stupid. That it's just like an inhaler. Like to me, that just shows that they have no idea of like who this character is. I guess that's like part of his personality is that he's always has an illness or something. But
yeah.
it's to me that's just like super lame. Maybe that's from the books. I don't care. But at least the way they did in this movie, I was very unimpressed with that. With that being like the solution there. And to me, it just feels like any of those some of those tokens could have just been wrong. Like how I don't know. None of it is explained, so it just doesn't bode well for
that's
me.
the problem with, not the problem, but that's the thing with Pennywise and with like the turtle and the whole spirit thing is all of this is belief. So it's almost like the token in my mind could be anything. It's just as long as you believe it. It's like
sort
Inception,
of a
right?
self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah.
whereas the token is what you make it to be.
It's like what Jessica's nickname was, right? This can kill it'll kill monsters if you believe it. So it's like you could find a fucking, I don't know. Well, Mike did find a fucking rock, and he's like, "This is my token," and that's where I believe like they could have put
blood on it.
They all could have put in their shoe and have been their token, but they need to believe it's something important to them, right? So, and even the way they beat Pennywise, it's all just like
the
mental.
gazebo
Yeah,
effect.
it's all just like we believe this, we believe this, we believe you're small. So I think it's flawed, but I understood what they're going for.
One thing I didn't like about that too is Mike's like, oh, it has to be, you have to go find it by yourself.
Yeah.
It has to be alone.
Yeah.
But the thing is, everyone's token except Richie's was not from them being alone. Richie's was when he was alone at, spending his time at the arcade. But the Rock, they were together during that rock fight.
Mm-hmm.
And technically they all found Stan's token together.
And it's like, it's an awful idea to go out by yourself, and they shouldn't be stupid enough to think that's a good idea.
At least
to
be
just go.
like, if let's say
especially if they had these fucking memories where they almost died, right? Like, why are they going off on their
let's say
own?
Bev does have to do this alone. She has to go into her place alone. At least have everyone sitting in the car waiting outside for her. Be like, we're going to be out here. You need us. Come get us. But you got to do this part alone. But no, they all go around. And even I hate the way Bill finds the bike, because it's just like, what are the odds of just like, I get it, but it's just like, and the Stephen King cameo is fun, but... And I liked him actually riding the bike and just like, we're back together.
Yeah.
And I love the Silver
I
Away.
like the bike,
Yeah. But I hate how he found it. It was very lazy. Just like,
I thought that was his token too. I didn't.
Me too.
And then
Me too.
I was like, how?
It in the urn.
Yeah, I was like, how the hell is he gonna bring this down the well with
One
him?
screw from the bike.
How did he get Georgie's boat again?
He was
He
at
reached
the
into the
drain.
sewers.
Yeah,
very
Georgie.
inconvenient. Because what happens if Pennywise doesn't mess with him at that point? He doesn't find that boat, right?
Oh, that's the whole thing with the tokens, right?
Yeah. Not all of them. There's two. There's two that are foolproof. The Bev
I'll
one
give you that.
and like the Ben one.
Bev's was good.
And like that's the thing with the tokens of the flashback. I like when Bev finds it, and then you have like a 10 to 15 second flashback of younger Ben with that token. That's the type of flashbacks they should have had in this movie. Just scenes from the first one. If you wanted to add, I think the only one scene I would have said fine was the clubhouse, because I don't think that should be in there. But if they really need to set up, fine. But other than that, all the flashbacks should have just been stuff from the first movie. Those little instances of just remembering stuff like that. But it was
that's the thing, right? Like you look at what Eddie, like that scenario that happened as a kid. Like, why is that not mentioned or shown or talked about in the first movie? That's fucking scary as shit.
With the leper and his mom?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of their scenarios are, like, even Richie's, right? Like, all of them are pretty intense scenarios. Mike's, sorry, I kicked my mic.
Well,
Mike's is the only one that, like,
Daniels.
is actually something that explicitly happened. I guess Beverly's is fine. You never saw her, like, tucked away or something, but we've seen that enough. And then I guess Ben's works as well, but
I
it's
guess
just
technically because they weren't talking that summer, right? Because in the first movie, they all get back together just because they find out Bev is a captured.
But it just makes those moments feel like they weren't really a big deal to the kids because it wasn't brought up and we didn't get to see that. So, I mean, that's obviously the problem of trying to shoehorn this stuff in after. But as you said, they didn't have to. Like, there's other ways around it. And, I mean, maybe there could have even been some forethought with the first movie to make these tokens stand out.
Well, they obviously, if they could have planned ahead, they could have shot all these scenes when the kids were actually younger and then kind of added everything in, 2 years later during editing instead of leaving it and having to do the crappy de-aging. And
they just probably, unfortunately, they wouldn't have got the budget on that because they didn't know how big this movie was going to be. Yeah. They did the whole, like, it's going to be chapter 1 in the credits. But at the end of the day, if it bombed, they never did this. So it's like, you have this amount. And if they're like, hey, why do you have 5 extra days of filming? Oh, we're shooting that for the sequel. It's like, you're shooting that for the sequel, like, they would fire you right on the spot and be like, no, like, that movie doesn't exist. That's not what you do. So that's the unfortunate thing. Like, they don't have the Feige powers. Like, let's shoot this and, like, let's save it. Feige should have produced it, No, I'm just joking. And the other thing, my last thing with the tokens and the flashbacks is I just don't find any of the flashbacks really scary. Like I said, I didn't like the Bev one. I didn't like the leopard because I liked the leopard from the book, but we got that in the first movie. And with his mom, it was like, okay, but I didn't enjoy it. And also, fun fact, the same woman that plays his mom is the same woman that plays his wife in current day. So that's really, really cool, especially when he says some comment. I think Richie's like, "Oh, you married your mother." So same actress, like I said, Stephen King. And the other cameo is the kid who played Ben as a kid in the original miniseries was adult. He played an adult in the room that Ben was like that, whatever, the architecture room. He was like one of the suits there talking and everything like that. So they had a few cameos. There might be more, but and I hated the Richie lumberjack lumbar guy. Just that was what Dylan was talking about in like non-spoilers budget. That was just not needed. You know, I was not a fan of that at all. Just not. It's just loud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's another thing that I thought was pretty stupid. When they go down to the well house into the sewers, they have absolutely no supplies whatsoever. Like even in the first movie, Mike brought like the gun, and I guess this is one of those things where you could pass it off as they don't remember what happened down there, so they didn't think to bring supplies.
Mike does.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like
then
Mike,
all of a sudden they have these flashlights, and I guess they had a rope to get down, and
you could maybe assume the rope is still there. That's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Flashlights I brought, but like, why aren't you bringing a shotgun? Like this is the U.S. You
You're
can
an
buy those at
adult
any
now.
fucking corner store. Like you should bring some preparation of some sort, especially if they know. Like, I mean, Mike knows that there's an even deeper crypt underneath the one that they were at before. So it just doesn't really make any sense. In the first movie, they weren't like fully prepared, but they were prepared enough for kids. I think it fit. It made sense.
Yeah.
This time, it does not make any sense at all. Very stupid.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say on
I
that.
I agree. I think it goes back to just they want weapons that you can believe. So technically, like a shotgun might do nothing if you couldn't believe it isn't. But I still think they should buy it, and I'd be like, I believe.
I would still bring a shotgun.
Yeah. The same
Yeah.
way Richie at one
Yeah.
point, like when Eddie just full on Thor hammer throws that spear, and that's the other thing. It's a weird thing to throw out, but I hated it. Anytime the good guys were doing violence, they were swearing a lot at whatever they were punching or choking. They're always like fuck you," and it just would always take me out. And I think my least favorite moment in this movie is when Eddie was adult choking the leopard, and then the leopard threw up on him. But then I think they played "Angel in the Morning" for like 5 seconds, and then
really,
it
really
stopped,
weird.
and that's where it's like, this is Deadpool. Like I don't know what was going on, and it was strange, and that's where again I think it was the comedy for me was way too much in this movie overall, and it felt very cheesy. And like I said at the non-spoilers, they did lose a writer, the guy that wrote True Detective season 1, and he's doing the new James Bond, Cary Fukunaga. He was directing the first hit, and then they had a falling out, but they kept some of his screenplay, and he's much more of a serious guy, so I don't know. He didn't write this at all because they had a falling out, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, that they kind of took that approach. Just kind of the same way lots of people...
It's hard to know.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, for me, just a double down. It might come up, but I really dislike that leopard stuff right there in that moment.
Yeah,
so.
I think, and that I really dislike like a lot of what they did with Eddie too, and that he had pretty much at least two moments where he should have overcome his fear, and that like developed his character to be the one who's kind of leading the charge going forward in the film, where he kind of faces the leper and he like fights back at it, and then he overcomes it, and then they even make it a comedic moment to show that like this isn't as tense for him.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, and then it goes to his interaction with Henry Bauer, where he doesn't really seem like he's that scared. He kind of like,
he's in shock because he got stabbed.
yeah, he's
but
in shock, but then he still like manages. He like purposely hides in the bathtub
That's what I'm
so
talking
that
about.
he
He
can
just had
get
like
the
a
stab on
goofy
him.
look on his face the whole time.
Yeah, but then like he still overcomes Henry by like stabbing him back and defeating him in a way. But then they go to the house, and then he's frozen in panic again, and he's fearing, and then he's just constantly the one who's like not able to do anything, even though he's the one who seems like he overcame his
not a
fears
very
the
linear
most.
progression. Yeah.
Which
that
is,
and just a lot of, I think, repetition again of he overcomes it, but then he's scared.
Yeah, exactly. And so it kind of goes back to like there's so much in the middle, like 2 hours of the film, where it's like it didn't really accomplish anything.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm all like, if you follow this cast, I'm all for 3-4 hour movies. You know, as long as they're good, doesn't matter to me. But when it's this long and there's a lot of stuff that feels unnecessary, you could chop up. That's when these are the type of movies, in my opinion, that give long movies bad reps, because it's 3 hours, you know. And something like, to me, in my opinion, Endgame, you don't feel that. I've seen it 6 times now, and you don't feel that. It runs very quickly.
Yeah,
you know?
But you're paid off by Marvel.
100% the contract. But even something like Return of the King, it runs very smoothly, you know. Like, and this is one of those. I don't know why. I don't know why they chose to do. I have many questions for them. I'm very intrigued by this film. I guess I should say like some pros. I said non-spoilers, but I just thought Bill Hader was perfect casting. I liked some of the visuals. Like I remember the very first shot of Derry when it like comes up through the trees, and you just see the lights of the amusement park.
There's still some good cinematography bits.
Yeah, I think everything for the most part they do visually with Pennywise is cool and fun. I liked him smashing his face on the glass. I can't remember her name, but I really liked that kill with the little girl. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Just like, because he's just coming off as like a fucking like pedophile predator, just like, oh, I'm so ugly. Like, that's exactly how you would think someone would coerce a kid to get in that situation. So I liked all those scenes, and even I will give them credit because I loved all the jokes about the ending sucks, because Stephen King gets that his entire career, and the character Bill is based off Stephen King. So I like that callback, and it is a giant fucking spider at the end. But I will applaud them for making that spider Pennywise, because I think he had some fun. Could it be cheesy? Yeah, but I actually didn't mind it, because it's like if you're adapting this book, you're gonna have to do the spider at some point. You know, you could not to, but it's a big point. So you're gonna have to do the spider. I like that instead of just a spider. It was still like fun seeing Giant like Bill Skarsgård like emoting and like popping his head out. The execution on some stuff I didn't like because it was a bit too comedic at times, but I liked that take.
I like the look of the spider, but I just had so many problems with that scene once again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, to me, just the whole... Like, I know that's the whole point of the story, is that, like, they overcome their fear. But the fact that, like, they just start, like, trash talking. They're like, you motherfucker, you're just a clown, you suck. Like, they're all just spewing out these insults.
Yeah.
To me, it was very, very cheesy.
I also couldn't think of more insults than you're a clown.
You're a clown.
And some of them were just like, you're a fucking stupid motherfucker. It's like, oh, okay.
Like, at least write in some, like, good
Seriously?
insults. Like, be creative with it.
Yeah.
Watch some Gauntlet videos,
It felt really weird and jarring to me. I'm going to make a comparison here. I'm going to spoil Murder on the Orient Express, which is a bad movie, so you shouldn't see it.
Don't do that.
It's a bad movie. Don't see it. Okay, so the whole point of that movie, it's a murder mystery, right? But then it's revealed at the end that it wasn't one person. It was a bunch of people, and you get this awful scene of like every character grabbing the knife and then stabbing the guy, and then he hands off the knife. The next person grabs it and stabs him, and it's like a 2-minute long scene, just super fucking cheesy and overdramatic. And that's how I felt about the ending when they're just like shit talking it for 2 minutes. It just felt really weird to me. Yeah. Even like the moment where Mike pulls out the heart, and then they all like grab fucking hands together. I like that, Arnie and Terminator.
I thought they were going to put the heart in like the bin or whatnot, right?
But maybe.
Because the bin does nothing, right? They've figured out that it's just it's useless.
To me, this theme of like friendship is power was just over the top, and it came off as cheesy. And then here's a nitpick that I really hated from the end scene. So they're like they're all chilling in a cave where Eddie, I guess he got like tossed in there, I think it was. From it,
he got stabbed.
Well, he got stabbed, and then he throws him.
And then he threw him, in that cave. And then they all follow in there, and they're all just chilling for a second. And then, like, it is like smashing against the rocks, trying to get in. And then they look out, and they're like, "There's a cave opening over there where we came in. We have to run back over there so that when we go in there, he's forced to shrink to come in." That's the exact situation that they're in right now. They're in a small cave opening that he would have to shrink to come in, but instead they're like, "Let's go over there and do it instead." Makes no fucking sense, right? Like, what is that? I can't think of how the filmmakers thought that made any sense whatsoever. And then it's just like this huge risk, which didn't work for them. No. Pennywise obviously got to them before they could get there.
It worked for all of them except for Eddie. You know, they all made it out. So technically, I agree.
Well, Eddie had already been stabbed at that point.
Yeah, he was a goner.
He was dead.
I think the execution was all bad. I still liked all the friendship stuff because for the most part, I think Mike was sometimes maybe a little too over the top of being a little too, you guys gotta help me. But like other than that, I enjoyed everybody in the cast. So I think they sold the performance as well. So like that, and even the very ending when they're like standing looking themselves in the mirror, I liked all the like friendship stuff and destroying the heart. That all worked for me, even though maybe the execution was at times clumsy. I think it's just because for the majority they're all talented actors and actresses. So it worked for me.
I think James McAvoy, like, I think seeing this, even just like his first scene when he's talking, and he's just, I've never heard him in a movie talk exactly like he did in this one. He's just such a fucking good actor. Like the way he just does little things by changing his voice or the pitch, and it never feels awkward. It never feels weird. Obviously, you watch Split or Glass, and he's just like doing that, but on crack, and it's like, wow, he's really good. But even in this movie, like, I just appreciated how, like, just the nuance of like his acting. He's just so good, and I had a lot of problems with the choices that Bill makes throughout this movie, but I thought McAvoy was really good for what he was given for the most part.
Yeah.
So props to him on that.
I thought Chastain was good too. I
Mhm.
liked her. So yeah, I want to show quickly because I'll probably forget her, just like the movie did. No coverage of Moira, his wife, in this movie, which is very strange because I don't like the plot point of. She's in this movie for a little bit. She's the actress.
His
and,
wife.
Yeah. And I don't like the plot point from the book, so I'm actually fine they took it out because she comes to Derry looking for Bill, and then Derry like puts her in a trance and she can't move or something like that.
Okay.
And Bill like there's this, especially in the miniseries, that's really awkward. There's this scene where like Bring Her Back Alive, he uses Yoho Silver and he like puts her on the bike while he's riding the bike and she comes back alive. It's really cheesy stuff. So I was fine that they cut it, but I didn't understand for the movie that they never talked about her again, especially because like Bev's on the full on like the Bill bandwagon once again, which I'm happy as a book lover and miniseries. I'm happy that her and Ben end up together because that's 100% my story of like chubby kid into that guy. So I was like, and that for me, like I need that to happen, especially the first movie. They ended on the Bev and Bill kiss. I'm like, oh, they're not going to do that. They're going to make these two good looking people together, these bastards. But
These two known actors.
Well, they still did put two good-looking people together.
they did, of course, they did. They did. But what happens is so like
that actor does look like
he looks
Ben.
so much like Ben.
27
It's
years later.
scary. It's
I didn't
the,
see it.
The
and the
eyes,
face,
the
yeah.
eyes, man.
He has the same cheekbones
Yeah,
too. It's
he's got it.
crazy.
I
yeah.
couldn't
Oh,
figure
yeah.
out who he was at first. I was like, what kid is this? I don't...
To me, I saw the eyes instantly.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
Ben.
So that happens, and they're together. And the thing is, so in the books and everything like that, yeah, Bev and Bill kind of have this moment, and they do kiss, where it's like, oh, they're having flashbacks to being children and having that crush on each other. But then Bill's kind of like, well, I have this wife that I love, and he goes back to her. And then Bev's like, well, I really love Ben. But the thing is, in this movie, it just kind of seems like Bill gets the short end of the stick because his wife is kind of like an asshole at the beginning of the movie to him. The actor's talking about, like, Bev does say your ending sucked, but she says it in a way like kind of condescending to Bill, and they had a fight, and it never gets resolved in the movie, and we never see her at the end of the movie. So it feels like he kisses Bev, and it's almost like, oh, maybe he's gonna leave his wife for Bev, but really Bev just ends up with Ben, and I guess he's going back to his wife that he's not a big fan of and stuff. So it felt weird that I thought they'd give him at least some sort of happy ending, but no, Bill just got dumped, which I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea of like their I guess family, their connections before they go to Derry. Like, all of that is forgotten about. None of those are brought up as far as I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, even when Bill goes back, he's, like, his wife's not around, as you mentioned. It's not mentioned at all. So,
but then that's why I think, why even have him having a wife at all if you're not going to bring her up? Because I thought...
Oh, yeah. I think the whole, like, starting of the movie needed a rework because there's no motivation for these characters to go back, and it's very inconsistent. So, like, Mike calls them all up. He's like, hey, you got to come back to Derry. You said you would. And they're all like, yeah, sure. Except, like, when they get there, they have no recollection of what happened there. They don't remember. Like, Bev does because she has the nightmare, so that one makes sense. And then Stan does, for some reason, enough. He remembers how traumatic and how terrifying it was that he kills himself. So he remembers everything, or enough to make that big decision. But then the rest of them don't really remember what happened to Derry, and they just go back anyway. So they leave. Who knows where the fuck they are in the U.S.? I assume they're all in the U.S. somewhere. Maine. From wherever they go, they all travel for possibly across the country in one day. They all just drop whatever it is they are doing. No matter what's going on in their life, they all drop it in a fucking second to go back to Derry.
If we dealt with
because they don't remember. They don't remember what happened.
Yeah, they didn't know why they were coming back.
Fair enough.
So that's what I'm talking about. The motivation for them to go back doesn't make sense because they don't fucking remember anything.
Yeah, fair enough.
Isn't it in the source material, they get called, then they have the flashbacks, then they know why they're going back.
They always are foggy on what happened, but they remember once they get that call, there's a fucking killer clown after them. And
they know why they're going back. Whereas in this one, they didn't actually know why they're going back.
Yeah.
Even though it has like, they have that like moment of panic when they hear about it. And like, for whatever reason, they just have like an innate feeling. I have to go back.
The thing is, I think there's some way to write it where that can be believable, where they just have some attraction, some innate feeling that need to go back. But the fact that Mike is just like, you got to come, you got to be here tomorrow, and it's just like this strict thing. Also, it just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't fit.
Mike, like they made him seem very like sketchy and like
kooky, kind
of like almost like a red herring in that like
he's like a drug dealer.
Is he like setting up something bad? Which in a way he kind of did, but he had good intentions behind it too. So they made him seem like super sketch and like suspicious the whole time too.
I think they did that just so they could have multiple scenes of the losers being like, "I'm going to leave town," and I don't believe Mike. And I think they did that because Mike, in the source material, is kind of a boring character. He's literally just an exposition machine. So I think they're like, let's give him something to do. And I guess it was to be a little kooky and like off the walls. And
it's because this movie felt it had to do that cliche where the characters like break up a bit and go on their own way. It's in the first movie, obviously that happens where they all go their separate ways, which maybe feels unnecessary, but then they actually call back to it in this movie, and like in effect, like there was a reason for that, whether or not you like it. I mean, there was a reason for that, but in this movie, it's very like contrived that like, yeah, Richie's just gonna leave now, and then 10 minutes later, like you said, he's back.
Yeah, and because it was weird, he wanted to leave at the beginning, and they talk him into it. He stays, and then he does his coin trip, and he comes back. He's like, I'm leaving, I'm out of here, and then he does leave, and then he just comes upon like stands where he got his bar mitzvah, and it's just like, okay, and he's back. And that scene, I didn't, especially that was a scene that's in the first movie of Stan at his bar mitzvah, but none of the like him swearing, and I didn't like that recontextualizing of the scene, because I view in the first one he feels still very nervous about it, and he doesn't, but in this scene he's like really confident, like he's just like a pimp, and he's mouthing off his dad and all his family members. So it's very strange, the stuff that they kind of twisted around.
Some very weird choices.
Yeah.
Talking about another weird choice. So Beverly has like she's been having these nightmares for 27 years of all of them dying, and they mention it like once or twice, but then they just never really bring it up, and I feel like it is pretty crucial to the plot. Like maybe that would be like, maybe she foresaw that like
this is how we can beat them.
Yeah, like maybe this would have been a reason for them to not split up and go their own way. Maybe they died later. Maybe it wasn't like that weekend, whatever. Because this movie takes place over like 36 hours or less. It's a very short amount of time. So I just felt that was weird that they bring that up as something that's clearly a traumatic thing she's been going through with like since Derry, but then it's not really brought up as a plot point, or there's no like, you don't see into her mind at what she saw. It just felt kind of weird to me.
That is another thing I don't think I liked, because that is a classic Stephen King trope. This, Pet Sematary, The Shining, there's always some fucking character who has visions. Like, I've seen what can happen, and where
at
do they
least
get
they
it
give
from?
her a reason for why she has them.
Yeah, I just didn't. I just think, like you said, it didn't factor into any of the plot. It wasn't just like even if
really
it was
important
like
too.
Yeah, even if it was like, we don't know where to find these fucking tokens, and Bev was like, well, I have some ideas, but it's just like I don't know, like it, because it did scare them away a little bit. So I don't know. Other than I guess it was maybe in the book, but again, I think you got to choose what to use and what to lose.
It's a different format, right? Yeah. Another something with, it's kind of related to Beverly, but Bill. I think it's when Bill and Beverly are just hanging out at Mike's place, his
the library.
Yeah, whatever it is. They're just like talking, and then there's I don't know, Mike's house.
Oh right, because
there's the townhouse where they're staying with the bar and stuff.
Yeah, that place where there's like the staircase that they often hang out on. It's just the place to be.
Townhouse.
There's like at one point like a skateboard like rolls down the steps, and then it like flips upside down. It has a message on it. That message to me, I can't remember what it was, but it made no sense to me. Like,
no, it did. It did,
what
because
was it?
It's I can't remember the exact quoting, but the whole
it was
point
like come home maybe.
No, it was like Bill at first was talking about Georgie, how he wasn't there for them, and the quote is something like, "Are you going to be there for him?" And it's referring to that boy in the carnival of like, "Are you going to leave this kid alone?"
Yeah,
I think they added this scene just to have a scare.
Maybe it's fine to me. I don't think that would have been a giveaway for me. I don't know. I didn't really understand it. I guess it's fine though. But it doesn't like. Once again, these characters like splitting up, like Bill going off on his own, just really makes no sense. Like the others should have gone with him. It just like, especially after like a spooky scenario where it was clearly controlling the skateboard and wrote some demented message on it. The fact that he just goes off on his own directly after that is pretty whack. Doesn't really fit his character, who's usually like pretty well thought out on most
fits
things.
his character.
I think that makes sense.
He does that same thing
because
in the first
he felt
movie.
responsible for Georgie dying, and so he feels like he has a chance to redeem himself and save this other child.
Right, but there's like Beverly's just chilling there, like Ben's just hanging out, like they're all doing nothing. So why didn't they go with him?
Well, no, Bev was the only one that was there. The others
there was
were
someone else in the
Ben
room.
was upstairs.
No, Ben was upstairs.
Ben was upstairs, and he comes down after Bill leaves.
Yeah,
after he leaves. Okay.
Bill's obviously not thinking rationally, so he doesn't ask for help.
Right.
But also, everyone at that point is like, what? Half the people are trying to leave. Ben's trying to convince them to stay, and I don't know why Bev doesn't go with him, but
and Bill does the same thing. That after the projector scene in the first movie, Bill Ray was like, "Fuck this," and he goes to the house, and then they're like, "We can't let him go alone." They don't follow him in this movie, but he does do that a lot, where he's just the stalwart leader. If he's just like mini Captain America, like, "I'm gonna do this, and it doesn't matter if I'm alone." So he does do that quite, and he does that again later in the movie, right? When he goes to the house alone.
Maybe like that was a bad idea, and he would know that not. not to just peace out on.
But
his
I guess
own.
he's forgotten that part. That was a bad idea, right?
I guess so, right? That's the hazy
You
memory.
forget everything
it,
you know.
It can fit the plot however you want. I guess.
I will say kind of what Briggs was touching upon when I was talking about non-spoilers. What I really liked was the childhood trauma. I really liked the scene with little Georgie and growing up Bill, and then like little Bill, like all that going on with him. Like,
in the basement.
yeah, I liked that because I liked that, and it was paired back to back with Bev in the washroom, and then Ben. I didn't think the imagery of Ben being alone. I don't think that worked out, but I think showing them overcoming stuff that they clearly haven't worked through in their life, like everyone trying to break through that bathroom door, and Bill's especially. I liked all the conversation. I didn't like Georgie yelling almost the exact same as the first one, and when he shoots Bill, it's the same effect where he goes all freaky and he goes zombie mode. But those three stories, I like that it was Bill, like him being like, no, like it didn't matter if I wasn't there for you. It was one day, like the clown took you. It wasn't my fault that you died, you know. And he's been thinking about that for years. Bev have always just thought about like, I can't do anything. I'm just supposed to be daddy's little girl, and it was my fault. Like, even with her husband, like, she puts herself in this position where, oh, he's mad because I'm acting out and I'm not doing according. So I think that's when, for me, when the ending did work for me on its stride, where it was showing these, to me, good examples of imagery and the acting going on, like them overcoming this stuff that clearly they haven't. Even if they overcame it as kids, they've maybe forgotten some of that. But I think this was fully them coming to terms with things that Pennywise did or they did in their lives. And I enjoyed all that trauma stuff at the end for me.
Fair enough.
I will say just before we leave it, I enjoyed the fact that they did show Pennywise killing that kid that he went and chased after. Because, you know, there was kind of a lot of feel-good moments in this. You almost expected him to get to this kid and have his redemption that he saved this kid when he let Georgie die. So the fact that you see this, like, splatter as Pennywise, like, destroys him in the mirror house, I thought that was really satisfying.
Yeah, they love killing kids in this movie.
Killed 3 of them.
Yeah, which is good. I'm not saying that as like a sarcastic. I think it's good because I think you need to. I think the scenes, those scenes worked in this movie, but I think even the first one, you needed those to establish like the danger that kids can go at any point.
Was there a reason to the death of the little girl with the birthmark on her face, or that was just a scene of Pennywise?
Yeah, I think just to give Bill more time as Pennywise and to add it. I liked it because I liked it's a controversial, and I understand I like the opening of the movie and that little girl scene.
I didn't like the opening. I think you could have done something completely different. Why is Pennywise eating adults?
That's what I was curious about too.
And just the whole thing. Like, I'm like, who are these characters? What's going on? None of them are ever brought back again.
I think, I guess the parts I liked that it was the impending doom of like Pennywise killing people. And he's
but he could have killed the girl with the birthmark on her face, and then on the radio it could have been little girl missing, and then Mike could have been like, oh shit, little kids are going missing. And started calling people.
I think those characters at the beginning, they're supposed to be kind of almost similar age of Henry Bowers, and he does fuck around with those kids in the first movie.
I was wondering if the intention was that you think, oh, that is Henry, like that older guy.
I think it does a few things.
I didn't get that vibe, but I wonder if that was what they were going for.
Yeah, I think it does a few things. It just establishes he's back. Another thing, that character is from the books, that he gets beaten up because he's gay and he gets tossed over the bridge. And the book, it takes place in the 80s, so obviously, actually, it doesn't matter because people are just as bad towards gay people as they were in the 80s. So I was going to say something, but no, it doesn't matter because not much has still changed. We're all trying to, but that happens in the books. I think what they try to set up, but they don't touch upon it really. That's one of the reasons why Richie doesn't come out as a gay person, because in Derry, gay people don't fare well there. So I think that's what they're trying to set up. They don't really do a good job connecting it, but I think they're trying to show that's why he never came out, because you start off the movie with 2 gay men getting beat and one getting pretty much beat to death. Like, I still think maybe he would have survived, but there's still a chance that guy dies in just the water from injuries. And then later on, when in the flashback to the arcade, Henry Bowers is pretty much like, if Richie were to say he's gay, he's going to kill him right there. So I think that was the theme they were trying to go for. I don't know if they did well, because lots of people don't like that beginning scene already. This movie, it's been controversial, just like opening out with a gay beating. And I kind of understand. I don't think they need to go as intense with it, really, if they could have just still set up Pennywise getting these two.
I think it was very unnecessary, and I agree with Jessica that I just felt like it was kind of out of character for it, and I was wondering, like, is it controlling these guys in some way? Like, is he having some influence over them or not? I think doesn't really need an answer, I guess, but
at least if you would have made it kids, like all kids, not this older couple who is back to visit Derry because the guy was born there, and it was kids beating up these kids for being gay, kind of like the Henry Bauer thing. I think that would have fared a little better, because then it's showing, okay, the kids are still being little shits because it's starting to run its, powers again.
Yeah, and they say he always makes the town like a little rotten when he's around.
Yeah, and then he's eating a kid that's thrown in the water, but I don't understand. It's all adults, and then it eats an adult, and to me it just felt really out of place, especially when then you do have this really great scene with Bill Skarsgård as it with this little girl and like luring her in, and that would have been a way better opening in my mind.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
Especially,
I guess it would have. Yeah, it's not like that scene had any impact on the plot, right?
Exactly.
So it could have been there as well.
I think it was just, I think both of them would have been in the movie just because I think they're trying to find any way to give Pennywise more screen time. Because with
he didn't get much screen time. That whole carnival scene and then 1 second of him standing there holding the dead guy.
Yeah. But I think that's why, because then you're in people's minds and be like, oh, we just got a Pennywise scene. Even if it's just 30 seconds, I think if you take that out, it's less. So I think that's why it's in there. It's just to try to sprinkle it out and try and get Pennywise in, because in the adult stuff Pennywise is not really around that much in the books and source material because it's the build up to him. So I think they gave him a bunch of random adventures. I like it, but I don't know if I love the scene that they chose, but I don't mind him chunking off some guy. That sounds
chunking off some
but like
guy.
he just literally took a huge massive
go.
chunk of that guy and just like eating him like a dog. So yeah,
this is true.
Any Bill Skarsgård I'll take. I just find him so I really hope Foggy swoops that guy up. I really do, because he's just so charismatic, but in that charming way. He's just like, and I don't think he's the right frame, but it reminds me a lot of Freddy Krueger. And it's funny, there's the last movie that's showed in this is Nightmare on Elm Street 5 when the kids are going back. So clearly Muschietti's a fan, and this does feel a lot like some of the bad sequels of Nightmare on Elm Street, but he has that aura about him of like, he just knows his character, and whether it's his eyes, whether it's just the way he tinges, the way he lowers his voice. So I just love anything he's on screen. So that's why I guess maybe I'm a bit biased. Like, I'll take it just because if we don't get a third, which I still think we might, I think it'll be a prequel, but if we don't get any, then we only have
I think what you just mentioned, I think they're going to do a Nightmare on Elm Street like next, like the team who's making this movie. I think they're going to stick them on that because it's the same. Well, this is New Line Cinema, right? For it, which is a subsidiary of Warner Bros. Warner Bros. Also has that IP. That's what I think they're going to do next. They had it in the first movie. They had it in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just the vibe I'm getting.
Putting Freddy as one of the monsters too. I would be down for it. I still,
because I don't know what else you do with this story, and I don't know what the reception is like for most people for this movie yet.
Oh, you think it's the same universe though?
No, I'm just thinking this team just goes off and makes another horror
like,
movie.
Rather make like it Chapter 1, like that
make
kind of a new style of
I would be
horror
down
in a way.
because like a lot of the set pieces in the first one and this one are very much like Nightmare on Elm Street. You fall asleep and then Freddy's doing something with you. There's one set piece where Freddy Krueger has a bunch of kids. He has a pizza and he's turned them into meatballs and he's eating the meatballs. Cool. So it's like, and same thing as Nightmare on Elm Street. There's set pieces that are rocking and there's set pieces that are like, this fucking sucks. But I think that's what happens when you do like these really fantastical, almost fantasy-like kills and whatnot. So that's where I think it sucked. And I'd still be down for this team doing it because I still love that first one. So they have done it successfully. I just think this was clearly the lesser version of it. So, but it happens.
Yeah. I'd like to jump back to the opening scene and the little girl scene. I think there is a bit of a reason to it. I'm not going to say whether it was super effective or not.
Yikes.
But I think like part of it is like a lot of the lore of Derry is that Derry's just kind of a shitty town. Like everyone there is affected by it and they're miserable people, and that I think there's a scene in the Chapter 1 where basically I don't know what it is exactly, but like people just ignore.
There's two.
They don't like offer help to anyone. They just ignore people.
Ben's getting like cut up and like this car just drives by.
Yeah, exactly. People.
But there's also a balloon in that
really
car, so I don't know if those people were real.
But it is. Yeah. It kind of is. But then also in Georgie, like this girl, the woman sees Georgie at the well, and then she just sees a bunch of blood, and she just like closes the door, ignores it, and
I took it. She called the cops or something. She went and called the cops.
I don't think so. I think she was just like.
I took it as, and it's very much in the source material, I guess, in the TV series, and I imagine the book as well.
The book
there's a lot of emphasis on like it's just like everyone in the town is just awful.
Yeah,
and I think that's sort of what they were getting at with those people being very bigoted and homophobic, and then I think that's kind of like the message they were trying to convey, and that Derry's still like an awful place all these years later. And then also I think like the actual beating of the couple was very unnecessary and like very just gratuitous violence that you just didn't need. You could have just thrown him over the bridge right away.
100%.
But I think having Bill Skarsgård, Pennywise come and take a chunk out of the guy, in a way, it acted similar to Georgie's death in that it it gave you a sense of vulnerability to the kids, where it's like you start the film off with Georgie just getting his arm ripped off. All of a sudden, you feel like the kids are under threat from Pennywise. It doesn't feel like a superficial threat. You know, like it's real. He could just mess them up at any point. And he's just toying with them throughout the film in chapter 1. Mm-hmm. Whereas this one, it sets up that, Pennywise won't hesitate to, like, kill an adult.
True.
And it sets it up in that, they're not off limits. He's still a threat to them. I don't think it came across very well in that throughout the rest of the film, I felt I didn't feel like any of the characters were threatened in any way. Partially because I knew they make it to the end to do the big showdown and whatnot. So there's a little bit of that meta in it where I knew they were all going to make it, so it didn't feel like they were under threat. But I feel like that's what they were trying to set up with that one. But I feel like you could have had like the little girl scene and that opening scene you could have just picked one or the other as an opening scene to reintroduce Pennywise into the equation. But yeah, that's just kind of why my little breakdown on the opening scene.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that with the adult. That was a good point. Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about is so they're this whole time they're like they all believe Mike enough, or they have this innate feeling they go back to Derry, but then I guess like for them to really go on board with everything he's saying, it takes a bit, and one of the reasons is because Mike just drugs Bill, and then he has like this trippy sequence.
Really risky.
Yeah, really risky.
Don't do it at home.
It's like it drugs him for like a minute for him to have this vision, which he then just believes everything. Like, how much does he know, how much he doesn't? I'm not really sure.
Like you've been drugged.
Yeah, I feel like if you've been drugged, you'd be very skeptical about what you were seeing. It was like, am I seeing this because it's a vision, or am I seeing this because you drugged me?
100%.
Yeah.
Why would you trust it?
It was a really weird solution to me. I think they even had a solution within the movie, and they just didn't use it. Because I remember back in the first movie, Ben, before he has like the friends, he's in the library just doing some research, and he like finds out all this stuff about Derry, and he finds about all these like missing cases that happen like every 27 years. Like he did that research, but then because of like the hazy memory that they have in this movie, that's just never brought up. So that could have been a good thing where maybe Mike would have said, "Hey Ben, do you remember this?" Or "Guys, do you remember this like research that Ben like told us about?" Maybe Mike wasn't there in the first movie, can't quite remember. But even then, like maybe there's something in this movie that triggers that memory for Ben, for him to like bring that up, and then they can go along with it. So I don't know. I think maybe there was like a better way to do that instead of just some like weird drug scene where Bill just now believes like what Mike is saying and is being an advocate for him, and then the rest of them are just like, "Oh, I trust Bill because I haven't seen him in 27 fucking years. He's a good friend of mine. I'll just trust what he's saying." So. And even the fact that they don't really like quiz him on it or something, like I think I just really want to know what the fuck Mike knew in this movie. But he just like pushes the plot along, but he never really gets a scene by himself. He never really gets a scene to explain that stuff, and maybe it would have come off as boring exposition. And I felt it was really weird exposition when he's talking to Bill with that drug scene, but they ended up doing it anyway. So I feel like there's maybe a better way to do it. So
I wasn't a huge fan of the whole ritual plot line of like that's how you defeat it. And like the natives with their
it's very contrived, right? Things. Like it didn't have a whole lot of depth to it.
I feel like it would have made a lot more sense because Mike, I think it was who he put together that little scrapbook with the history of Derry, and he was the one who like found the picture of like with the head in the tree and whatnot. Yeah, if he became a librarian, and as through these 27 years of him being the librarian, spending every day at the library, he went and he found more and more and more books on the history of Derry in like this old basement room or whatnot, and he figured out like more of the lore of Pennywise through him being the librarian and taking that on, rather than just like, oh, there's this magical solving. There's this ritual you can do to solve everything, except the ritual doesn't actually work, and you know it doesn't work.
He seemed overwhelmingly unprepared after 27 years.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't think about it for another 10, 15, 20 even. But you have to think that he thought about this more than like a week ago, right? And he would have some sort of plan in place. I mean, he had all their contact info no matter where they were. So he had some planning, but it felt like he should have had a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, for the amount of planning, it felt like just like the portrayal of the character felt very. It's just not
Messy.
It's very messy. Yeah,
He's a messy
that's
guy.
a good one. And I feel like I would have liked if like he does the research and he has those classic like pictures on the wall with like the strings connecting all the dots and whatnot. He has like this huge like collage of like all these articles of kids missing every 27 years and whatnot. And he comes and like that's what he shows the kids, and like his room in the attic of the library isn't like all messy and stuff. It's like tidy to the point of it being kind of like creepy, and then he has like this huge room dedicated to just his research on it. Yeah. And like make him sketchy, but like in that like over focus, like over like just like completely consumed with like that idea of like being ready for when it comes back.
Even I don't know if I loved him kind of knowing that the ritual might not work. I kind of just wish that he thought it would work, and then Pennywise informs him like, "Oh yeah, you're missing something," and then he would inform him like, "Now you're just kind of screwed," you know. But because at the especially I don't like too when that happens, and someone I don't know what character it is. I don't think it was Bill, but someone just like, "Fuck you, Mike," and it's just like they literally say that after after Pennywise says that, like, "Why'd you bring us down here?" So it's just like, and there's never repercussions for that. They never say like, "Hey, why didn't you tell us?" Even after they defeat Pennywise, I know everyone's happy, but even though
they're
I know
all happy, even Eddie dies.
Yeah, so. I know, which I will give great shout out with Bill Hader. That whole scene when Eddie dies to like the water, I think that like if this was a better movie, there's a chance he would have been fucking nominated for an Oscar.
I have some nitpicks on that. I'll bring them up.
I just loved everything of just like, especially too, because they're kind of insinuating that
Bill Hader played Richie, right?
Yeah. Okay. They're kind of insinuating that they love each other, because Eddie in the books, it's stressed upon more that he's definitely gay. With Richie, it's kind of a little hint of that, but not as much. This movie, they went full on with it, and that's why you get the full on like their names carved in. So it's kind of like if they were in circumstances or grew up in circumstances, they would maybe be together. And I think I thought Hader performed that perfectly, of like, we can't leave him and they're pulling him away, and just that scene when they're in the water and he's still crying. I like that everyone's kind of over it, and he does make his Richie joke, but he's still the person that's just like, he's not like everyone else is kind of, Eddie'd be laughing right now, but he's just like, Eddie's fucking dead, you guys. Like he's just breaking down. And Bill Hader was phenomenal in that scene. I don't know if there's room for him in Golden Geek supporting, because it's a heavy class with Endgame, but he's definitely that scene. Loved everything he did.
See, I got everything that they were going for with Richie being gay, but I didn't get anything from the Eddie. Like, it kind of just seemed to me like Richie was a crush. Like, he went and carved the name into the bridge by himself, didn't he?
They only make one mention in this movie. I believe there could be more of just like, I got married, and then he says, I have a wife. And I think he just said, I got married. And Richie's like, to a man? And he's like, no, I have a wife. So that's the only alluding they have to it. And because they all kind of laugh. To me, I took it as like, they all know or have an idea that Eddie's gay, and Eddie's still kind of like, no, I'm not gay. They don't stress upon that at all, but I thought that was the only mention of it. So, and maybe
even to that didn't seem like a dig in that sense. It seemed more like just Richie being Richie.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And I think it's just because my baggage of like the source material comes in. So I'm like, okay, that should be assuming that maybe because Eddie is played off as gay, but yeah, in this movie they don't.
Does Eddie die in the original?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, same thing. Eddie's always a goner.
I completely forgot about that. And
Eddie and Stan.
Eddie's death in this one just felt so
How
pointless.
does Stan die in the first one?
Suicide.
Yeah,
and they did a good job too. I've always loved this, but in the first one and they showed it again when they leave the circle after they beat Pennywise, it goes in order of like Stan leaves first because he dies, and then Eddie leaves first next because he dies, and then Mike leaves next. He doesn't die, but he's supposed to be hospitalized. So they did kind of keep in two with the people that were getting killed. So yeah.
I'm gonna rifle off some nitpicks that
go for it.
I'm delegating them as nitpicks.
I've mostly exhausted my notes on this, so fire away.
Other than before you get into something negative, I will say I really liked the. I didn't like the stand in the fridge because it was very much like, you want to play loogie like they did to Eddie in the first movie. Like the setup's identical, but I did actually really enjoy the spider effects, and I loved the whole imagery of that, and I liked that action scare.
I thought it was decent, but I just thought it was weird that they like split up at all while walking through that house. Like
they didn't mean to. The door slammed in between
them. But happened the last time they were in the house, and it's like
I
was thinking as they're going. I remember thinking as they walked in the house, I was like, they better stay in a group, and when they go through doorways, go through them together because the doors are gonna shut.
I did find something really scary too. I love that shot of when they look in the mirror and it's just Pennywise with a knife.
That was that was a really good shot.
Yeah,
actually,
I love to reveal that, and it's just like pimp, like you owe me money, Pennywise with like a switchblade, just like carving it into Ben. I really like that. Again, I like anytime Skarsgård is on screen. He just like emotes so well. So
I didn't like the callback they did to the fridge with like the body in it all contorted.
It's so similar.
It was like it was so good in the first one. Don't like try and bastardize that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you're about to do nitpicks. The whole scary, not very scary, very scary. That was fine because okay, whatever. It's a callback. I didn't love the call. I think I would like these callbacks. Just there's so many back to back to back that it wore me. But I didn't like the humor of when they open up the door with the dog and they're making jokes.
So
that really bugged me.
And then the tentacle thing like leaves, and then they could have just left.
Yeah,
but
and
kept
it's like
making jokes about the dog.
Your friends, I don't mind if it's just like they say, "Hey, asshole," and that's kind of funny. I don't mind comedic stuff in the final battle, but them cracking jokes about this dog while their friends might be out there getting fucking brutalized. Didn't like that.
That was all improv.
Yeah, well,
opening the door with the dog, that wasn't scripted. Everything that they said was them improving, apparently.
That's why sometimes you cut improv because it's not the best, and I didn't like. I think you could use that in the movie like somewhere else, but I just think in the final battle, while it is a giant spider running after your friends, you don't make jokes about this dog, and you know,
or
it's
maybe
not a
like
real dog. Close the door.
Have an improv of like one line, but then don't just like keep the entire thing.
It went on for a while.
Keep what
it
is
was
good.
quite a while.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that the tentacle ended like this far away from them, I think it could have reached out just that little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously Pennywise wants them to go through a door to make them more scared, but also like the tentacle just kind of disappears after they open the first door, and then
they run back, but it's not.
They look back and they see the tentacle's not there, and then they just stay at the doors for a little while longer.
Yeah, I will say I like the actual, because they got the dead lights being blue. I actually like the imagery and the visuals going on in the cave, just like the blue flashing lights and whatnot. I just liked that. I liked the setting. It was nice, and it had a nice bigger budget than the TV series. Because if you watch the TV series finale, woof, that spider is. Yeah, that is something to get.
It's a big yikes.
Oh yeah, that's something they.
I mean, that whole movie. I don't like that movie. I don't like the original.
It's
not great.
John Ritter, but
I
think that's it for everything I got in the cave scene. But yeah, I like those.
Can I whip out my nitpicks now?
Go ahead.
So the reason I'm classifying these as nitpicks is because they might seem stupid to you. They might not seem like a big deal, but I was just so mad at this movie. I was cringing. I was so bothered that everything started bothering me, and so I think some of these things probably don't matter. But
someone's gonna block you on Twitter. I got blocked on Twitter for nitpicking this movie, which I just said I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yikes!
If you're listening, grow a brain.
All right, number one. So I'm not gonna number all these. I'm just gonna start.
Number 82.
Before they go into the house, the well house at the very end, they're like, Richie, what did you say? And then he whips out like 3 lines that he said back in the day. One of them about like measuring dicks, which, got.
You're lucky we're not measuring dicks.
Briggs got to laugh, but for me, it's
I laughed.
For me, it's like, okay, so now it's like, you got to think of the implications of that joke, though, right? The implications are that they fucking remember verbatim what he said 27 years ago at this house. Maybe it's because memory of seeing this place, like he remembers every single word they said. But to me, it's like, no, like it's a funny joke, sure, but it implies so much that you shouldn't just put it in there at all.
I just want to throw it out. Wasn't there a line in this movie that said, "The longer we're here, the more I start to remember," or something like that? Like they say that the more time they spend back in the town, the more stuff they do.
I mean,
is that a line from the first movie?
What?
You're lucky this isn't dick measuring.
Yeah, they pull out sticks to see who's going to go into the house. Yeah. And he pulls out, and it's
that's shown in the movie that like them being there, them going to certain places like activates their memory. But the fact that he remembers this exact joke like word for word from 27 years ago, like I don't think that's something you would remember. Right, it just doesn't really make sense.
I can't answer that because it's working in this weird mystical realm of they forgot, but then the second they come back, they remember everything. I'm on board with you at the beginning of them not remembering.
So why does Ben not remember all this research?
I mean, that's the thing. I'm on board with you with the beginning of them not remembering Pennywise. They should have when they got the phone call, but the rest of it, I'm just kind of like, something needs to be triggered. It's the very fantasy-like world.
Maybe because they didn't go into Ben's old bedroom, so there wasn't that space to... make him remember his walls of research.
He went to the library though, didn't he?
Mhm.
Didn't he do all that research at the library?
Who knows?
He did in the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that line, or I didn't remember that line in the original. So just because he's a comedian at that age, he was just saying that as like a
Yeah.
Like an insult kind
yeah,
of.
as a quip.
Yeah.
He's just he couldn't remember what he said, so he just
Right.
said that because he thought he'd get a laugh. So in my head canon, I enjoyed him just like improving that line as a comedian
He improved
in
it.
character.
Yeah.
But now that it's a callback line, it's like, eh.
Dude, everything is a callback line.
I did like
This
that.
movie has more callbacks than like Arrested Development season 4 or like a fucking Star Wars movie in the last 5 years. It's just over the top.
I did like the scene with the little kid in the restaurant of just like whatever that line he says to him that it's
The
his
fun's
punchline.
just
Like,
beginning or
yeah,
something.
That was funny,
Just like
yeah.
what the fuck? I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I-
And then,
I did like-
Oh, your parents.
I
aren't
did
you?
like
Oh,
that,
shit.
I don't read my own
You want
material.
a picture? No, not really.
I thought that scene at dinner was a pretty good scene. It was fun to see them reconnect
Really
again.
good.
And I think it was nice. They even had like 2 conversations going on at the same time. I thought they did it well. I liked
Good
everything
chemistry there,
until
too.
like the CGI birds and shit were popping out of cookie
Yeah.
fortune
but,
cookies.
but
and I
like
didn't
Mike
like the
beating
CGI.
the table when the waitress walks
Yeah.
in.
And then it just like doesn't matter.
I think
They
from
just, like,
that
leave.
scene
We'll take the
onwards
check.
is where it started feeling more comedic than scary. And
Yeah.
just like in the direction they took that scene with it, like
Mhm.
ending up being comedic with how freaked out they were because it's obviously not real. We know that.
Yeah.
But I think that's sort of probably where, for me, it started to be less scary and more comedic, and that kind of ruined the tone of the whole film in a way.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Let's go back to the house. So I had a problem with Richie when he's entering the house. I also had a problem when they leave. It's just really fucking cheesy moment where I don't forget who. It's like let's say it's Mike and Ben. They're like holding Richie back. He's like trying to run. He's like trying to like a bull like to run back into the house, and they're having to hold him back like in a classic fight scene or something where they have to hold back their friend. But it's like what is he gonna run? Is he gonna go back in the house when it's
Yes,
crumbling
I think so.
and getting destroyed?
Wait,
in
why is he
shock.
going
And
back?
then he's gonna go down
For
like
Eddie? They just
Yeah.
climbed out for like...
that's what I'm saying. Like it's not like Eddie is very far away at this point. Like you have to travel for I'm gonna guess
They've
half
already
an
made the
hour
conscious
to
decision
get back
too.
to him. So the fact that he's like they're having to hold him back as he's trying to run back in the
Yeah.
house, really fucking cheesy. To
Maybe
me.
he was gonna commit suicide. Maybe he's like,
Maybe,
you know what?
yeah.
I'm just gonna go die
He
with
could
him.
have just stayed in the house
Maybe.
then.
I'm just
They
offering
pulled-
up an
they
idea.
pulled him away. They do
Yeah.
show.
That's why I'm saying these are nitpicks. Like you might not
Yeah.
think they're problems.
Do
but
that
they fucking
holding back
bothered me to
scene
all hell
in the
movie.
cave before they all leave.
What's that?
If
Yeah.
they're going to do a holding back scene, do it in the cave
They
where
did.
Eddie's body...
They did it
so
then
they did it
too.
twice.
They physically.
He didn't cool
The reason
off.
why I'm kind of fine with this because they physically drag him away when they're running in the
Yeah.
background. You can see it's. I think it's like Bill and Mike. They literally have him locked
Yeah.
and they're pulling him. So it's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
I think he was just like fuck it. I'm gonna die because I don't care.
Hey.
So.
So I these are my nitpicks.
Yeah.
These things might not matter
I
to
like-
anyone, but they matter
I
to me.
want to
advocate.
jump in and say I really dislike the fact that the whole like cave system and the house crumbled. There was no need to add urgency to the escape.
No. Pennywise is dead.
They
Yeah.
could it literally could have just been them leaving. They have like a heartfelt
I wonder
moment
what kind
with
of like
Richie
crater
being,
that would have left in Derry.
yeah, it's like they have a really heartfelt moment with Richie being upset over Eddie's death, and then they still have to like he's like giving up and he goes limp, and like they have to pull him out. And then after they leave, he wants to go back, and then the house just like crumbles. But they don't need the urgency of them trying to escape while it's all collapsing.
Yeah.
It added nothing to the film.
Plus, it would have been nice to get Eddie's body out there because, like, what they gonna do with his wife? You know, it's a very interesting situation to make that phone call. Stan, he killed himself. Very easy to, okay, he died. But where'd Eddie go?
he
Well,
got stabbed by a giant spider, and then like
Yeah.
an entire continent
Yeah.
fell
Mike's
on
like,
top of him.
Mike's like, have you heard of the ritual of Chud at the funeral? And everyone's
Here,
like,
have this drink.
How did you guys feel about? Because this is, I think, another thing that's going to be controversial of them making Stan's suicide as like a sacrifice. Because in the books, it's kind of portrayed in the miniseries as like he is just too scared and he's taking himself off the board, like he said in this movie. But he does it as like a selfish way of he just can't go back and he feels like he's going to die, so he quits. Where this is like, I think they tried to make it a heroic moment, but I don't
To
know
me, it was just
if it was needed.
To me, it was just
Well-
inconsistent with what the other characters knew or remembered about Derry. So I didn't.
It
like
also
it for that
felt
reason.
inconsistent with it being like Pennywise's like virus that ends up killing them. It felt like it was him making the conscious decision, and maybe he thinks he's making the decision, but he isn't, and it's actually because of Pennywise that he killed himself.
But he definitely made that decision
But-
because he wrote those letters.
Yeah, so it kind of undermined the whole theme of like them all eventually killing themselves
Yeah.
because of what Pennywise had some connection to them. So undermined like Bev's visions of them doing that. So it is just, yeah. I liked it more in the original in that, like, he just killed himself because he was scared, and then it can be alluded to, like, the reason he was so scared and killed himself was because of Pennywise's influence. So.
Yeah. I don't know if that was like a PC choice, like they're trying to do, of like they didn't.
I think they wanted a bit of a happier ending to Stan.
Yeah, instead of he was a coward that killed himself, and I don't think they want that. But that's how he is written, and it's to me understandable. Of like this like eater of worlds.
I mean, it's like this isn't.
You mentioned that a lot.
As like this isn't. Like, it's a horror movie. It's not a feel-good movie.
No.
I think
you can have some dark stuff in there.
Yeah.
If they just didn't have the letter scene at the end, it was self-explanatory that he killed himself because he was scared to go back. And I think that was it. It should have ended with that. And I don't know if it was they wanted to give that actor more screen time, maybe, or...
Yeah, it was... I think it's for some reason that was not because it made the best story. And maybe they felt made that way, and then it just didn't... It just didn't work out.
Yeah. They were worried about backlash over like, oh, Stan got like no screen time. Oh, everyone needs to
rip Stan.
Yeah. Anyways, next nitpick.
Continue with my nitpicks.
Number 3.
So when they're all bathing in the quarry after the whole affair, Richie is missing his glasses. I like the joke that he drops there. I thought it was fun. But then they all like go diving underwater. I feel like Ben and Beverly are underwater for like 2 minutes or something. Like they're swimming around, they find the glasses,
this is a big nitpick.
and then they acknowledge each other, and then they make out for like 30 seconds to a minute.
I don't think it was actually that long. I think it just felt long.
I think it was slow motion.
Why are you guys commenting on my nitpicks?
I definitely watched the
That's
scene and I was like, I could not hold my breath this long.
I
remember thinking that.
I didn't remember them casting Chris Angel.
I just play devil's advocate for the people.
Speaking of,
it's romantic. They're their first kiss.
Next nitpick.
These
don't need to be talked about. They're not important enough.
Number 4.
But this is making me think of things that are fun. I'm just trying to contribute to the cast, Dylan. The scene where Bev gets like pulled underwater when they're in the first tier of the cavern area and they all dive under. There's no reason to have that.
No.
Nothing happens. It's just like they just wanted a scene of them getting pulled under the water.
And we've already
also,
that
it wasn't even flooded initially. It was another part of establishing that Eddie was a coward. And it's like when I saw them go into the room and there's like it's now flooded with water, because in the first one it's not flooded with water.
No, something happened.
Yeah, so it's flooded with water.
Anyways,
now.
I got a fucking leak in my house.
It's like, why is it flooded now? I don't know, but
27
it was
years,
obvious that it was flooded for the purpose of having that
season.
Scene of
100%.
something coming out of the water and pulling them down. But then the scene it's just like, oh, they go underwater for a little bit of time. Just for a little scare. But it wasn't even that scary.
Yeah. I will mention that I didn't love most of the CG in this movie and the designs, but I did like the naked ghost lady. I liked that, and I hate
with
that.
all the mows in her throat.
Yeah.
Miss Kirsch. Yeah, I liked that. Not in that way, but I liked it was just scary, and like she was very limber and just tall, but I liked, even though we saw almost the whole scene in the trailer, I still really love that Kirsch scene. I think the pacing of it's really well. I love the conversation. I love at moments Mrs. Kirsch's voice is going in and out between her and her father's voice. It's really unsettling. So I know we saw that in the trailer, but I still love that scene. And I still don't hate this movie. I think there's certain moments in this where it's like, that's really great filmmaking that was in the first one, and I wish the whole movie was like that.
See, that thing was nitpicky for me. Like watching her in the background, like.
I don't think that was bad. I think it was fine. Like when I watched the trailer with that, it was like really unsettling, which got me excited for the film.
Very Hereditary-ish.
But then it was someone in our theater was laughing every time she like popped in the background. Someone just laughing like
because it was terrible. It was not scary. It was not creepy.
Hey, this is a subjective thing. Some people find it scary.
I like the person laughing just took me out of it completely. I was like, okay, well, I guess like if you look at it if you just ignore all the tension built up and just like if you just like take just the tension just goes right past you.
I'm pretty sure I was one of the people laughing, so because I did not think it was scary. I thought it was terrible.
I laughed a little bit, but I laughed in a way just like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen? Like it was in the trailer. But anytime when she walks by, there's one moment where she's like doing the air hump. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, she's like suddenly just naked and just like.
I love it. I love like creepy naked old ladies.
It's creepy / funny.
Watch The Shining. Yeah. I like that imagery of just it's kind of disturbing and.
Yeah, but and like with like Hereditary and whatnot, if you have the right build up to it and the right tension, and you feel like that's not just like funny scary, it's actually like really weird and like disturbing scary. And obviously, not everyone's gonna get that.
They did a good lead up to it, like that conversation where she pauses and she's just sitting there.
Yeah,
you know,
so, I mean, not everyone's gonna get that. I guess it's gonna like with you, obviously. It wasn't that scary. I think in the right. I think with the right context, it can be. It can be like it's really well done. But also, one thing I like that scene, but I don't like that they only gave that much attention to Bev's scene, like her callback scene of like that. Everyone else is sort of like going to get their token and felt very lackluster compared to Bev's. It felt like it was very second. Yeah. It's just like a second thought. Okay, like we gave this big scene to Bev, and now we're just gonna now we have like 6 other characters we need to get through.
Yeah, and
Let's
you're gonna have to
them.
wait for that.
Yeah,
yeah. It's like this is gonna take an hour to get through this.
Is there a cutscene of Mike just in the woods for an entire day looking for this rock?
No,
that'd be wonderful.
Is it that?
I feel like I think
like
he
takes
just
a rock,
kept
paints it red.
I think he just kept
buys
it
a pet rock.
immediately after the little fight they had. They probably just kept it.
I agree.
He probably just like went and picked it up, and it's just like there's still the dried blood.
If you go back and watch the original, you can see him put it in his pocket.
If they did, I would be like, hey, you get a
well done.
.1 added to my score.
I will throw out on talking about them getting the attention on their throwbacks with the Richie when he's talking to Pennywise, like floating down, and all the people in the background are like swaying. I thought that was pretty good. It kind of had this air of like, you know, everyone's just watching him and he doesn't really realize what's going on. So I did like that little detail.
He was just ruined by the ending moment when Pennywise goes in the camera and his face messed up. He's like, no one will play with me. And that's where I was like, oh,
yeah. And then he just lets him leave.
Yeah. That's honestly a problem in, like, even just with the book in general. Like, there's so many times where Pennywise should just be taking them out. Like, while Eddie's so fearful, you should just be taking them out right now. And that's the whole thing, that he plays with them because the meat tastes better the scared they are. But it is just like, these guys fucked you up once. Like, don't mess around. Like, take these people out. Like, you know.
Do they know your secret? It's like, it's 2016 now. It doesn't really matter anymore.
We're in 2019, Jessica.
No, his death thing was set to 2016.
Did it?
That's when the movie takes place, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
27 years.
Because it was in 89, the first one. So
Come
30
on
years
now.
would be today.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought they may have brought up to this, so.
No.
Okay.
If
Fair
it was
enough.
if it was a clean 30 years.
Yeah, I guess, because Batman's playing in the first one, so I should have put together it's 89, but yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Well, it's shown in this movie too.
Yeah,
I know.
It says summer of 89, right? And like
right over the head.
It sure does.
All gone. Dylan, more nitpicks?
I didn't expect these nitpicks to spur off in other discussions. I think I have a couple more here.
We're on number 4 now.
I don't think I've taken this many notes for a single movie, and maybe ever. Honestly.
I don't think you have.
It's
ever.
a lot. It's a lot of notes. One thing I thought was kind of weird. They reintroduced. I don't remember his character's name, but I'm just gonna call him Adam Driver's son. He's the guy.
Mini Driver, I call him. Mini Driver.
Mini Driver.
Yeah,
Mini Driver. The guy with the flamethrower in the first movie.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't that just Adam Driver?
maybe he's that good
with proper de-aging technology. Mm-hmm. So he's in this like he pops up in
like
Henry Bauer's under his bed, and then he like drives him around once, and then he's like
no, it's definitely twice, because the second time he gets into the car, he gets into the passenger side again.
He drives around the whole movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you've seen him a couple times, but then he doesn't really have any closure. It's fine. I just thought it was kind of weird that they brought him back at all. Like,
there's mini zombie driver somewhere still on the
again. Like,
that's what I wonder.
They made it like overly comedic when he first Bauer first gets out of the prison, and then it's just like Adam Driver's character is just like
yeah,
the head just like flops over.
And
then goes straight and then drives off.
And you could add
and I like seeing that character back.
Yeah,
but,
and you could have added some stuff, but I hated that he was like all CG. You know, it's like that to me is one of the easy ones you could make practical, just a rotting person. You know, but I did say in our group chat, if they have any flashbacks in episode 9, or they say we're making a Ben Solo, Kylo Ren Disney Plus series, you better fucking get this kid, because he looks identical to Adam Driver. It's nuts.
The first time I watched the first one, I thought I was like, is this Adam Driver?
Why is Adam Driver in this movie with a bunch of kids? He's like a 30-year-old dude.
Is that not Adam Driver?
No. It's actually not.
All right. I feel like we had this discussion after the first one.
Yeah, it's not Adam
I don't even
Driver.
know where the joke is right now. Like.
The joke is in your next nitpick. Let's go.
Number 5.
I'm just gonna say one more.
Okay.
A lot of them have kind of come up, but I just thought it was weird that like Bev didn't know that Ben wrote the postcard at this
She forgot.
point in time. Yeah,
She forgot.
she did. And I didn't like that solution.
Wait, what? Did she find out in the first? What? Huh?
Yeah, because she gets
What
hit
happened-
by the
I'm
deadlights.
so
She gets hit by
confused.
in the first one, the same thing. She thinks it's Bill the entire time.
Yeah.
She gets hit by the deadlights. No one will wake her up. Ben kisses her.
No. There's an earlier moment too. So Bev is chilling after they clean her bloody bathroom, and then Bill.
Right,
she
yeah.
mentions like the line like January embers or something, and Bill's like, "What the fuck you talking
I don't
about?"
write
Oh,
poetry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Poetry.
And then she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh."
yeah.
So she acknowledged in that moment that like Bill.
That she
Didn't write it.
figured out it wasn't Bill, and then
Yeah.
also she knows it's either Bill or Ben.
at the end,
Well, apparently she doesn't.
at the
No,
end,
well, in chapter 2 though, she says like she knows it's one or the other,
Yeah,
and then
she-
she's like,
Yeah.
I know,
she forgot.
and then she's
Yeah.
I guess that's
That's the thing. That's
and
just
that's
like
really bad.
so many of my problems are because
I
they're
don't
just
like
so
that.
inconsistent with the memory thing, right? It's just, yeah, not really well thought out.
My heart burns there too.
Sure does.
sucks to suck though.
Yeah.
It's also interesting the whole. You would think that after this whole big scene of her husband like beating her, there would have been more to it. You know, there's bruises all over her wrists, and no one, like, hey.
Yeah, they even talk about that a
You
bit in the
doing
source
okay?
material. She's like, I married a guy that's identical to my father, and it's because she forgot about that stuff she went through, and
Yeah,
she
so did
realized
Eddie.
it. But yeah, they kind of that's the thing that frustrates me. That I feel like a lot of the stuff that's not in this movie, I would have really swapped for the stuff that is in this movie. If it's to me, I still think there's a good movie of this being almost 3 hours, but just taking some stuff and maybe putting more backstory or putting more development or stuff like that, like just even more mentions of motivations of her husband compared to her father compared to Ben, you know. But say
They could have done a lot, and instead they didn't. You know, one thing.
well, they did do a lot.
They did a lot. They did 3 hours at least worth of stuff, and I don't know. It just makes me so sad.
This is definitely a Golden Geek Worst Film nom for you, right? I don't know if it's going to get on the list, but it's definitely up there for you.
Yeah, it is because I do feel like this movie has more like story issues than any movie I've seen this year. Like there's movies that have worse writing and worse acting, but this I haven't seen a movie this year that had like just such lazy writing, I guess.
Oh, I could
and,
give you
and
some.
very lack of what's that?
Let me go into Scary Stories definitely around there.
See, no, but with Scary Stories,
Men in Black was
actually,
definitely
Scary
definitely
Stories only
bad.
has like one or two like actual plot problems. It's just really bad writing and
Yeah,
acting. Right, this is like a different level where
Yeah.
it's just like the plot actually has a lot.
Oh,
of
I got
problems.
one. Go watch The Dirt on Netflix, the Motley Crue biopic.
Oh, I didn't
Oh.
think that was that bad.
Awful.
That was on in the my family was watching it, and I was like playing my Switch, kind of half watching, and it was awful. And at the
It's
end, they're like,
awful.
I
"Man,
don't think it's that bad.
my whole
actually.
family was like, man, that was so good." And I was like, This isn't worth fighting
There's
for.
people
Immediately
there's
disowned.
people that like you. They do like it. I just watched it. I was like, this is. I did a review. Go check it out. I think it's the worst film of 2019.
Very
Easily.
bad.
No, there's
Wow.
no
Hate that
way.
movie.
If
It's
that's
not the
eligible for
worst.
Golden Geeks, I'm voting
Easily.
that
The
one.
acting is dreadful. The wigs and the costume are dreadful. Everything about that movie is. I watched this movie 5 times before I had to watch The Dirt ever again. It was
Damn, that's
Dirt.
a lot.
I'm very glad
that's a
I
lot
saw
of
The
hours.
Dirt on Netflix. I was like, I don't want to watch it.
Any more nitpicks, Stone?
Not really a nitpick, but I guess there's like this recurring joke that Bill writes bad endings, and I was like, man, I wonder what the ending of this movie is going to be like. I wonder if it's going to have a bad ending, just like Bill writes for his whole
Intentionally
life.
bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it does. That's kind
Well,
of
I
funny.
think
how
that
that worked out.
they threw that in there because, like I said, everything about King's book gets that, but it specifically, everyone's like, oh, but then he's a fucking spider, right? And it's like, yeah, he's a spider.
Yeah.
That's kind of lame. So it was very meta, you know. So
It was too meta, honestly. It's like, let's write a bad ending to
I don't
fulfill.
think I don't think they meant to do that.
No, I certainly hope not.
What if that was the deal? What
Sometimes
if
I
he came
wonder.
to you and said, I actually
Also,
botched the film?
it
on
finally
purpose?
got to like the scene of like Bill writing a book, and it's like, oh, like if, like the little passage they showed, like that could have been the ending of a book, and he finally figured out how to write a good ending because he finally had
Mm.
closure to his whole experience with Pennywise.
Nope, chapter 1.
The book does go on to be a bestseller, though, and
Yeah.
people praise it
No.
for its ending.
Not in this world.
I know. I'm just saying the source material.
No, this
Yeah,
isn't
but
Ben and Bev
this
get
ain't that.
married, have kids, same as Bill and his wife. They
Mhm.
got kids. So
but the thing
just
with him
letting
is
the
like
fans
he
know.
can't write a good ending, and then I thought like when it showed him writing at the very end, it's like, oh, he finally overcame that and is writing a good ending. But then it's like, nope, it's just the first chapter of the book.
Because he's like, I'm off to a good start. And it's
Yeah,
like, well,
it's
you're
like-
always on to a good start.
yeah,
Though.
that's nothing new.
Call me when the book's finished. I do like Mike leaving Derry. It's a fun little scene. You know, he's finally getting the hell out
He
of
didn't
this
actually.
place.
He just said he was leaving.
But I took it
He
when
got-
he got in the
he
car.
He was in a car.
And he's
Oh,
driving.
was he in a car?
He was in a car.
Yeah,
I don't
he
remember.
There was a
that.
He
car.
was driving.
Yeah.
No zombie
Next to
driver.
him was Adam Driver's. Yes.
Yeah. Where are we going? I don't know. Let's fuck some
Street
shit
race.
up.
Street race.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's
I
go on
did-
tour. This is gonna be wild.
Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Beat me to it.
We're gonna call it the dirt.
Also, is there no repercussion for them murdering Bauer?
I wanted to. Yeah,
No.
like they just left this
There's no
dead body in
repercussion
the
for fucking anything.
No, because like
There's no consequence.
I mean, because
In real life,
it's
he
not
was-
like
he was
Bauer,
attacked- he was
like if
attacking,
Adam
right?
Driver's son comes and like attacks them and they kill him, and then like that person doesn't exist in the real world technically. So like if they kill this living corpse that Pennywise brought to life, sure, there's not gonna be a
Nothing.
repercussion.
Yeah.
But Bauer was still like, sure, he was an escaped person from this mental hospital, but he's
And he
still
did
a
try to-
person.
But he did try to
Who,
kill
like-
2 people, though. I think
they don't know that though.
yeah, but then
Who?
there's
For
they
that?
don't show.
Who's the
Eddie's
evidence?
dead.
The one evidence that fucking Eddie did anything or that Bowers did anything was on Eddie, who's gone. He's,
No, the evidence is he showed up to Mike's fucking home and attacked him.
they don't have evidence of
No,
that.
that
But the
wasn't at Mike's home. That was at the
No, it was
the
the-
townhouse.
Was
thing.
Well, twice-
no,
he-
no. The
No,
first
the-
was the
It was the
townhouse.
library where he attacked Mike.
Yeah, the library is his home, and he
Yeah,
attacked
and sure,
him there.
maybe like they're
That's
not
home
in the
invasion.
wrong necessarily for killing Henry, but it's like,
That's self-defense, 100%.
yeah, but you still go to court for that. You still have like a whole investigation and like what's going on.
maybe
here
they did.
and-
Maybe they'll be in It Chapter 3. The whole movie's just a trial. The trial. It Chapter 3. The
Making
trial.
a murderer.
Yeah, the trial of Henry Bauer.
but it's actually Faco and they're there because they trashed this restaurant and just left without paying for it.
yeah.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like the
that's
terrible
connected.
Seinfeld finale where they show off everything they've done. It's just like, yeah, Mike's very violent. He fucked up this restaurant. They destroyed the Wells house. You couldn't believe it. It was standing still, and they went in there and they just took out.
There's a second trial against
Yeah.
Richie for
Yeah.
fucking killing this kid after he yelled at him in the
We're
restaurant.
pretty sure they killed their friend Eddie. Like these people are.
They definitely led to Stan's suicide as well. Just throw that in there
yeah.
too.
They sent him some
Yeah.
bad tweets. So,
Oh God, 13 Reasons Why.
oh boy.
I do want to give a shout out that I did like that McAvoy. I like as it kind of progressed, his stutter got worse and worse.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the longer
Yeah.
he was in Derry and kind of started to fall back into his memories or paranoia or whatever it was. So
Yeah,
I
nice
thought that
touch.
was
I'll hop on that show and just McAvoy, great actor.
He's good.
He did a really good job with that stutter.
Oh, he is. He's just.
It was like-
he's so underrated.
He's
Wow.
very skilled.
Yeah.
There was one voice he did though that it sounded like one of his split characters, and it just brought me
Yeah.
out of
A
it. I
little
was
bit,
like,
yeah.
oh, that was
Yeah.
Patricia.
They filmed that on the
Cross.
same day actually.
Oof.
Cross is in the studio. He's like,
Just like took off the dress and
Yep.
walked over. He's like, okay.
All of a sudden, they're like, "Where's Bill?" And he's like the fucking beast, and him and Pennywise just have a fight. That'd be a great.
Sam Jackson just shows
Yeah,
up.
that'd be a great SNL
Oh,
skit.
boy.
And Bruce Willis, he sees all the water, and he's like, "Fuck, I can't help any of you guys. I'm done." Anything
Oh,
else, or should we get a
God.
final scores here and
I
get
get-
you out of here?
Yeah, let's go.
I will give this. Dylan's gonna hate the score. I'm gonna give this 7 naked, gross old ladies out of 10.
7.
Yeah. What? I think it's still passed for me. Like I said, I like the trauma
Wrong.
stuff. I think Bill Hader is still great. I think it's the same way, and I say this as a joke, but ever since Us, I feel like me and Briggs, and he's gonna probably have a different score. So maybe we have the same mind. I think this is still just like if you look at it as just the scale of like a good general horror movie, like you said, it's still good. If this was like the first hit, you'd be like, this is better than a lot of other horror movies out there because it has a great production budget. Most of the time, acting and
Hey,
all horror
budget
movies.
does not mean quality.
No, but I mean they used it well. Other than not
Oh.
the CGI, but the cinematography, some imagery I liked, stuff like that.
I learned that today.
Acting, I think was superb all around as far as the villain. I think like we just talked about McAvoy, Chastain, James Ranson, and then more specifically Bill Hader. I thought that was all great.
Bill
I liked the
Hader.
chemistry that they all had, so I enjoyed it. I was not sitting in the theater like Dylan hated my experience. I was just bummed because I don't like this as much as the first one. I will watch it again someday to complete the whatever, but this is a good phone movie. This is a good, I need to cook. Oh, the kid stuff's on. I'll go. So I still enjoyed it. I liked some stuff. I liked a lot of it, obviously, but then I was really disappointed. Like I said, I don't really hate a lot of stuff in here. I just really disappointed. That was kind of lazy. So I'm just more bummed than hate it. So a 7 out of 10. It's still just kind of, like I said, it's in that middle tier of movies out right now where, that was really disappointing. Enjoyed my time. Didn't enjoy a lot of it. Didn't need to be 3 hours, but yeah, there you go.
I'll go quick. I'm gonna give this movie a big ol' fail. Just
ol' fail.
That's all I'm gonna say. There's just such a lack of attention to detail to the plot, and it's hasn't been that apparent to me to a movie in a long time. And this was a big disappointment because the first one is so good. So it's just bad all around. Maybe there's some good stuff in there, but to me it was just drastically overshadowed by how little thought went into the story of this and the characters. And overall, a big bummer. I do not want to watch this movie again, and I hope I never have to. That's all I gotta say.
I'm still deliberating for a second. If you'd like to go, Jessica.
Go, Jessica.
Sure. I'm going to give this a solid popped red balloon. It is deflated. It is... I mean, it's nice to have the conclusion, but, go in with an open mind. Don't go in expecting it to live up to the first one. See it on a cheap Tuesday. Go to the theater with comfy seats. Don't go to the shitty theater that's uncomfortable because you're stuck there for a long-ass time.
Right. Maybe do some ayahuasca like Mike, and then you'll just be fucking
That'd be a wild
peyote trip. Funny enough, me and Matt actually said that. We're like, this would be really funny to watch high, like the lady in the background, like, ooh! Like, I just think that...
You guys would just be like hitting back, watching that scene over and over.
Just rewinding it over and over.
Just edit it so she just like moves around.
I'm sure there's just a gif of her just like walking across the doorway and then like just like looping of her as soon as she exits. As soon as she goes
like Scooby-Doo,
yeah. As soon as she goes out, she just like keeps looping, just walking past.
I don't know, her running out and her saggy titties flopping everywhere.
It was great.
Shout outs to saggy titties.
It was great.
I'm not going to shout that out along with you, Dylan. I'm
not
going to support that.
We're all going to have them eventually.
Here at Geek First, we support
saggy tits. Hashtag saggy tits.
So yeah, I think. Yeah, if you can, I believe it was Dylan, watch it on Netflix even. I don't know that it's worth being uncomfortable for 3 hours in a theater. Being able to pause it and go to the washroom. I think someone even said that they had time to go to the washroom and they missed absolutely nothing. That
was me. Yeah,
I was
during
one
the
of those
Bill
people
Carnival scene. I'm like, and I haven't gone to the washroom since The Hobbit, The Unexpected Journey, because I had to
that's
throw
a long
a bunch
time.
of bruschetta. So yeah, I'm a big stickler of like I never leave because I don't want to miss a single thing. This one I was like, okay, Bill's gonna roam around the mirrors for a little while, and luckily I got back before the good stuff happened. So yeah, I had to. And I think I also just miscalculated my water usage. It was right after work. I work outside. It's very warm, so I was not prepping Endgame style.
Good to know.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10.
Woo!
Clean.
I think.
I respect.
Whereas, I think
it's too high,
as you said, as a film on its own, it's not really offensive in any way. It's just like.
For some people.
Trying to
do that.
I didn't think it was bad. It was just it just felt like a generic horror film.
Calculating face, like
that was a bit more comedic than it was scary.
Yeah.
But I think, and the actors did fine. I really enjoyed McAvoy. I think Jessica Chastain did a good job. I think the casting was good. Bill Skarsgård, there wasn't anything that I didn't like a lot about it. But the reason why it's such low score for me is that in a standalone film, that's fine, but because it's a sequel, and because of how far it's fallen from the first one, I can't give it a good score. Yeah. It's just so low compared to Chapter 1. So when you make a sequel, you kind of have that obligation to at least you don't necessarily have to do something better, but you have to kind of live up to it. Or
at least
degree.
Be pretty close.
Or at least make a satisfying conclusion to it.
Yeah.
Where at least make something where if you've seen the first one, you still should see the second one. Whereas I honestly think my experience with it would be much better if I'd only seen the first one and just didn't watch this one. And because of that, I have to fail it on that one. And I don't think it failed miserably. Where I'm upset that the movie exists and I'm angry at it. I'm just not happy with it, and it's just kind of
The clean.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are our thoughts on it. I'm sure we're going to talk about it come Golden Geeks time because Taylor's seeing it right now. And I'm sure he's going to fucking love it.
I can't wait to hear what he actually thinks.
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
I think he's gonna love it. He's gonna think it's better than the
He
first
did
one.
fail a movie last month, though, Scary Stories.
Yeah.
So he failed his
It's
second
true.
movie ever.
A horror
So
movie.
Failed
And
a scary
he's,
movie.
he's on a roll. Yeah.
It was a
don't
bad
watch
movie.
that movie.
And
Yeah.
I will say that I wonder what our, because me and Travis were talking a little bit in the chat. We didn't spoil anything, but we did express our
Disdain,
general disregard
dislike,
for this movie. So I'm wondering if that'll affect his mind as he's watching the movie.
It's been
I mean,
known to happen.
we didn't really say too much.
No,
right?
we didn't. No,
Yeah.
no. So yeah, links are down below in the description. Whether you're watching this on video or audio, like I said at the beginning, go give us a review, go sub because we got lots of good stuff coming the next few months.
Yeah.
But yeah, video, audio, all your podcast needs, YouTube, and until next time, beep beep. It'll not be boring.
Bye bye.
Later.
Later, nerds.
Iconic later nerds.
It's back.
Drop for the first time in years.
Bill, it's back.